Defined by its interactive nature and user-generated content, social media has largely been a toy, a tool for the wealthy and the bored. As social media penetrates further into developing markets, a greater number of voices will be heard on a global scale. This change is good for its own sake, and it should also be embraced and utilized by development practitioners in our efforts to empower and communicate with the different communities. A very warm good morning to one and all. It is my absolute privilege to welcome you all on board to the final day of the Impetus 2021 three-day international conference on social media and developing societies, emerging trends, impact, and digital citizenship, organized by the Department of Media Studies and IQAC of Nagar College, Maranalloor, Trivandrum. I'm Devika Sajeesh. I'm a final year student, Department of Media Studies, Nagar College, and I will be your host for this session. We have an entire day packed with a lot of eventful sessions with prominent speakers, and of course, we are all looking forward to the brand new ideas in today's paper presentations. Prayer should be the key of the day and lock of the night. Before starting this very eventful day, let us invoke the blessings of the Almighty. I would like to call Jennifer Ronald, second year student, Department of Media Studies, for the prayer.
Let us put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Dear Father, we offer everything and thank you for everyone gathered here today to walk with you. May we ask you for your blessings and guidance so that the activities set for this undertaking be successful. Lord, give us the inspiration to be the best we can be, and may we be shining example of your goodness and truth within wherever we are. Inspire our thoughts, discussions, and ideas, and continue to remind us that all that we do here today is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you. Amen.
I know you all are waiting for the sessions that we have planned ahead. So without wasting much time, let us dive straight into the session. I would like to call Romil Uday Kumar TNV, second year student, Department of Media Studies, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Devika. I wish you all a very happy morning. I'm Romil Uday Kumar TNV, first year student, Department of Media Studies, Nagar College. Knowledge rests upon truth alone, but upon error also. I'd like us all to ponder upon this thought. I'm assigned with the task of welcoming everyone today. First of all, I'd like to welcome Dr. Shilpa Kalyan, founder and CEO of FreeBits and former faculty of Princeton University, US, who accepted our invitation to deliver the keynote address. Welcome, sir. It is indeed an honor to have you with us. Next, I would like to welcome our manager, Reverend Father Dr. Tito Verghese, CMI, who has always been our greatest strength, a mentor, a guide. Welcome, Father. I invite Dr. Jolly Jacob, our principal, who always was a support of strength and a pillar. Welcome, ma'am. Professor Manju Rose Matthews, HOD, Department of Media Studies. Without you, this event would have not been possible. I welcome you, ma'am. Thank you for all the rigorous efforts you've put into this event. I would also like to welcome our faculty members to this occasion. Last but not least, I welcome our participants who have accepted our invitation and are present here. I welcome you all to the third day of Impetus 2021 three-day online international conference on social media and developing societies, emerging trends, platforms, impact and digital citizenship, organized by the Department of Media Studies and IQAC, Nagar College, Trivandrum, Kerala. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Romil. I would now like to invite Manju Rose Matthews, head of the Department of Media Studies, to formally introduce the guest speaker for the session.
Am I audible, Devika?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, all. Dr. Shilpa Kalyan is the founder and CEO of FreeBits, Euler chain, TrueDat Incorporation. Before starting TrueDat Incorporation, he taught in the Computer Science Department, Princeton University, for 4 years. He is a frequent public speaker on AI, blockchain, cryptography, and game theory and their socio-economic and cultural impact. His academic and industry, theoretical and practical experience spans algorithm design, complexity theory, cryptography, machine learning, blockchain protocols, algorithmic game theory, structural graph theory, natural language processing, information retrieval, high performance computing, compiler design, and large scale graph algorithms. He is researching blockchain protocols, its scalability, stability, and privacy since 2012. He received his PhD in computer science from Georgia Institute of Technology, Masters in Computer Science from University of Southern California, and BTech in Computer Science and Engineering from the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. He is the author of Cryptics, an adventure novel aimed at teaching cryptography in a fun and exciting way. Now, you would be wondering why we have a super specialist computer scientist for our conference. More than anything, Dr. Shiva Kinley firmly believes in the power of democracy. Any democracy is impossible without freedom of speech, cross-pollination of ideas, and a common understanding of what is true and what is false. As you are probably aware, there is a social media censorship crisis across the world. Journalists, politicians, global leaders, creators, and even satire accounts are getting deplatformed. There are several such examples from USA, India, Israel, Palestine, Hong Kong, Nigeria, and China. Journalists, governments, and citizens everywhere are frustrated that a couple of tech companies are controlling the global social media, communications and censoring, shadow banning, and deplatforming opinions without any transparency. Dr. Shiva's session shall focus on the need of decentralized social media. Welcome Dr. Shiva Kinley for the keynote speech and the launch of FreeBits social media platform.
Thank you, Professor Manju Rose Matthews. So I'll be sharing my screen now.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you once again for organizing one more very high quality conference. So I'll be presenting, as Professor Manju Rose Matthews mentioned, a decentralized social media and why we need it, what are the different aspects of decentralized communication protocols. So let me start with this simple question that's on everyone's mind these days, which is who should regulate online speech? So there seems to be two answers here. One is the tech companies like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and WhatsApp, and all these communication platforms controlled by these tech companies. That's one side of the answer. And on the other side, we have the governments. So who should really regulate the online speech? Is it the tech companies or is it the governments? So let's see what are the what's the current status. So as you probably noticed, journalists, global leaders, and even satire accounts are being deplatformed and demonetized. I don't have to give any specific examples, and there are very famous examples from India, USA, Nigeria, and all over the world. And the recent Pew survey showed that 74% of Americans believe that social media sites intentionally censor viewpoints. And this is creating a lot of chaos, and people are confused how exactly to solve this problem. And the main point here is that the Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitter, which are widely used social media platforms, they are not designed as a true public squares. For example, in the olden days, we used to have these public squares where anyone can visit and have a discussion about any socioeconomic and political topics. So they are not designed as a true public squares. They are centralized communication tools controlled by private companies. And here are some quick examples. For example, Dr. Robert Malone, he's the inventor of mRNA vaccine, and he was discussing some of his opinions on YouTube, and he was banned and censored on YouTube. And he's the inventor of mRNA. And similarly, there are many other examples. For example, YouTube took down videos by groups documenting human rights abuses in China. So these are just a couple of examples. Almost every week, you will see some very high profile person or some doctor or a journalist getting deplatformed from these YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. And here is another example. So on one side, we have this censorship problem. On the other side, we also have this problem called shadow banning, which is even more dangerous. Shadow banning means you posted something online, and the company, let's say Twitter, chose not to show that post to your followers. For example, this is what happened in India. This is an Indian media channel, and they posted a video about abortion. They had a conversation about abortion, and they posted it on Twitter. Twitter somehow made a decision that it's not in the public interest, and they just shadow banned it. That means this video did not get any views. Nobody, it got very few views compared to the other videos posted by the same channel. So which is even more dangerous than censorship, because you don't know that you're being shadow banned. So those are some of the reasons why governments and citizens across the world are losing trust in this centralized social media. And some countries are even passing laws that would fine these tech companies millions of dollars every time they unconstitutionally censor this lawful speech online. But that's not actually stopping the centralized companies, because they argue that they are private companies and they have their own terms of service. And some countries are supporting their own local, country-specific social media platforms. But the problem with these social media platforms is that they only enable local communications within the country. They cannot enable global discussions, for example, about global topics like coronavirus or climate change and pollution and so on, where we really need a global coordination and global discussion. So that's on the one side, we have these tech companies. What about governments? Can we give the control of regulating online speech to the governments? It turns out the answer is again a big no. There are several instances of governments across the world banning social media access right before some important elections or right before some important decisions on some bills and so on. And there are several examples. For example, here, Mayor Rudolph Giuliani, he tried to censor art that was being shown in a New York museum. And then a federal judge had to interfere and say that you are actually, what you are doing is against First Amendment. So that's just one example, very mild example. But there are many examples like that where governments interfered into the freedom of speech. In fact, the First Amendment is created mainly to stop governments interfering in our freedom of speech. That is the main purpose of having this First Amendment, the freedom of speech and freedom of expression. So we cannot trust tech companies, and we cannot trust governments. So what's the solution here? So it turns out that internet started with a very interesting ethos. It started with a bunch of protocols. For example, HTTP, the protocol that is used to transfer website content from the servers to your desktop, that's a protocol. For example, SMTP that we use for email communication, that's a protocol. So these are underlying protocols which are unstoppable, and no one owns those protocols. They're the underlying protocols of the internet, and all the applications are built on top of that. So internet started with this kind of protocols, but over a period of time, somehow we lost that ethos, and we took some shortcuts. So there was a rise of centralized platforms, mainly for the efficiency reasons, and they saw this data collection and controlling the users as a good way of making money. So a small number of corporations took control over all the aspects of our lives, including private communications and public communications. And this is one example where there is a very famous newspaper called Apple Daily in Hong Kong, and that was banned by the government. So once they banned it, what the supporters of this newspaper did is they stored all the archives of these news articles from Apple Daily on the blockchain. So that's a very interesting solution, because blockchain protocols are not controlled by anyone. So as I mentioned, initially we started with these protocols around 20-30 years ago. Just in the last 10 years, we are again realizing the importance of protocols, especially in the decentralized aspects. For example, decentralized money, decentralized communications, and decentralized storage, and so on. So that's exactly the approach that we took, and we developed a new protocol called Euler chain protocol. So Leonard Euler was a very famous and very prolific mathematician. And so this is so we named our blockchain as Euler chain protocol. It's a new protocol that's purpose-built to host decentralized ledger of global communication. So this is not controlled by any tech company or any government. It is completely decentralized, completely global, borderless, open, and permissionless. When I say permissionless, anyone can join the network without asking permission, including permission from me or my developers or anyone. And all the content that is stored on the blockchain is immutable and uncensorable. And most importantly, this is a public utility protocol. It's not designed to be controlled by any particular entity. It's a public utility, just like the air we breathe or the water we drink. So this protocol is a public utility protocol. So once we build a protocol, there are several things there's several very interesting things that we can build on top of that. For example, decentralized identity. So on Twitter, for example, Twitter had this concept of blue check mark, where they verify your identity and then give you a blue check mark. But that is not a perfect solution, because if you look at any of the tweets of Elon Musk and look at the comment section, you will see lots of posts from verified accounts, but they're very scammy and spammy accounts. So essentially, there is a black market for this blue check mark, and that's a broken model. In fact, Twitter stopped using giving blue check mark to new users now. So decentralized identity means you own your identity. That means you are in control of the identity, and it is not stored on any centralized servers. For example, Twitter was hacked in July 2020, where the accounts of Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and several other celebrities were hacked, and some Bitcoin scams were posted on their Twitter accounts. So such kind of attacks are not possible in decentralized protocols, because each user owns their own identity. And if you want to hack 1,000 people, you have to hack the identity of each individual user, which is much more difficult task than attacking just one centralized server. Not only that, you have the responsibility to prove your credentials. For example, any university, for example, I went to Georgia Tech, I was teaching at Princeton University. Those universities can issue credentials to my decentralized identity, saying that I did my PhD from Georgia Tech and I taught at Princeton from 2011 till 2015 and so on. So in this way, I can prove my credentials without relying on any centralized entity. and anyone can verify these credentials in a completely decentralized manner. So that's the power of decentralized identity. And it turns out that it's very, very powerful, especially in the context of journalism. So it looks like this. It's a very simple concept. It uses public key cryptography. You can generate your own decentralized identities. It looks like a 24 keywords, completely random words. And using this is what you own, and you keep them private. And your public key is derived from this seed phrase, and that's what your decentralized identity is. And the interesting part about this identity is you don't even need internet connection to create this identity. You can download the algorithm offline and create this identity for yourself. And the most important thing is it's not stored on any centralized servers. So that is the first aspect of it, decentralized identity. And the second part is the tamper-proof content. Let's say you took a photo of some event in Afghanistan or Iran, and you posted it on blockchain. Once you posted it on any blockchain using our protocol, it's stored, the timestamp and the location are stored on the blockchain in a very immutable manner. That means you can prove that this photo is taken at a particular place and a particular time. And since then, if you transfer the photo and if you make any modifications, you can again anchor them on the blockchain and prove the entire provenance of these photos and videos. So this is very important to prove the authenticity of your photos, and also track the ownership and track the digital rights of your content. For example, I was talking to a journalist in South Africa. This was around 1 year ago, where he was taking very interesting photos in South Africa, and some of the journalists in US, they are very afraid to go to some parts of South Africa because they are dangerous. So this local journalist is taking all these photos, and New York Times and other prominent media companies in US, they are willing to buy these photos. And this guy has no bank account, this journalist in South Africa. So using our protocol and our front-end platform, any journalist can take a photo, prove the authenticity, and send it to the media company and get paid in cryptocurrency without requiring any bank account. So that's the power of this tamper-proof content and decentralized identity. And as Professor Manjuros Matthews mentioned in the first day of this conference, journalism is becoming a very, very dangerous job. In fact, whenever I say this, I feel very emotional about it. I mean, when I saw the list of people that you showed on the first day, I really felt very emotional that, I just noted down the statistics here. In the last 10 years, 1,411 journalists were killed that we know of, right? And then many other journalists are getting threats, and they're being silenced in many different ways. And journalism is one of the most important profession, and it's becoming more and more dangerous day by day. So threat to journalists are at the highest level in the last 10 years. And here is one more example, Myanmar. The human rights activists are being threatened. And here is another example of a whistleblower trying to tell something about what happened in Chinese lab, and her mother was arrested in China because of her actions. So this is how people are trying to control, threaten, and silence journalists. I'm sure you know about the Panama Papers and the recent second round of papers too, Pandora Papers. So the Panama Papers were leaked by an anonymous journalist called John Doe. After that, there was a lot of investigation by journalists from International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. And it turns out that during the time of investigation, many of those journalists were threatened. And in fact, one of them was killed. So the anonymous identity, the decentralized identity, you can completely create in an anonymous manner, and you can prove the authenticity of your photo. So that's why combining the blockchain protocols with anonymous decentralized identity and this tamper-proof photos is very, very powerful tool in the hands of journalists, whistleblowers, doctors, activists, and cartoonists, and anyone across the world, right? Because now you can prove the authenticity of your photos without revealing your personal information at all. Very powerful tool for journalists. And this is where I want to make a quick mention about digital citizenship that you mentioned in one of the talks yesterday. So this is what I mean by digital citizenship. You don't need a passport, you don't need a green card or any kind of citizenship. You have your identity, and over a period of time, based on the content that you create, you gain some reputation, and that's how you prove your authenticity. And I also predict that the future awards, for example, Pulitzer Prize awards, will go to some anonymous journalists who will be using blockchain protocols and anonymously reveal some very important information about governments or tech companies or anything. So here is an example where one of the police officer was illegally putting his leg on one of the a person called George Floyd. And this video on the left side, the video was taken by a teenager. And that video was eventually used to convict this police officer. The reason I'm telling you this story is there is a very steep rise in citizen journalism. Very brave citizens are taking initiative. They lost trust in the mainstream media, because mainstream media, most of the time, there are several journalists who are leaving mainstream media because they are sick and tired of all these political spins on every story that they write. They have to put some kind of political spin. So there is a very steep rise in citizen journalism recently. This is one of the best examples. And the future of content creators are these independent journalists. For example, in fact, I want to mention that this teenager, Daniela Frazier, she actually was awarded a Pulitzer citation, saying that she did a very good job and her video is very crucial in the court proceedings. So citizen journalism is on the rise. And for example, here is another photographer in Gaza. He was taking these photos in Gaza, and his main aim was to raise money by telling these stories from Gaza and raise money for the causes he believes in, right? So the blockchain protocols can enable this kind of decentralized creativity economy without taking anyone's permission. Like you don't have to take permission from Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. You can directly connect with your creators on these decentralized protocols, and you own your social connections, so you can take your social connections with you. So that means you know who is following you, and you know who your supporters are. So the entire network is owned by the individual users. And one more very important aspect is this aspect of governments manipulating the data. When I'm talking about data, I'm talking about this socioeconomic and political data. For example, unemployment numbers, consumer price index, and consumer wages and gas prices and so on. And in fact, if you look at the history, there are at least two countries, Argentina and Venezuela, where a very small number of greedy and I should say stupid people, they tried to hide this inflation numbers and kept on printing money and showed the wrong inflation numbers, and it resulted in collapse of the entire economy and destroyed millions of lives. So we want to prevent this kind of power from the power abuse in future from any country, right? This can happen in any country. In fact, even in US, there are some people who are accused of manipulating some numbers, right? So what we can do is we can collect this data from multiple sources let's say directly from the prices, let's say the gas prices or the vegetables prices or the unemployment numbers and so on, and from multiple sources, and put them on the blockchain so that they're not tampered by anyone. So as the saying goes, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? So we want to make sure that we are ready for such a situation. And if this data is stored on a blockchain, that no one can change it. No one can manipulate it. And one important aspect here is, in fact, I went through all the talks in this conference. There were a couple of talks yesterday where the presentation was about data analysis and how they analyze data on social media and other YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and so on. So here, once the data is on the blockchain, anyone can analyze the data because the entire data is on the blockchain or a decentralized storage system, so that you have the access to full videos, the network dynamics and the metadata and everything. So it's a research tool. It's a gold mine for all the journalists, and anyone, even a middle school student, can write a Python script to extract the data and analyze it. If anyone is manipulating it, if anyone is changing the narrative, they'll be caught very quickly. So that's the importance of making these public. So what is FreeBits? So far, what I told you was a protocol, which is the Euler chain protocol. And FreeBits is a platform built on top of Euler chain protocol. And all your textual comments, for example, your posts like Twitter posts, short posts, and the metadata of the photos will be stored on the blockchain. And your photos and videos will be stored in a decentralized storage system. And as I mentioned, we support both pseudonymous and anonymous communication. And because it's built on a blockchain protocol that has a native cryptocurrency, all the payments are done through cryptocurrencies. I gave you an example of this journalist in South Africa who was struggling to get a bank account because the steps to get a bank account there is very, very bureaucratic. So cryptocurrency comes to the rescue here, where you can directly use crypto payments and get paid by anyone, anywhere in the world. And that's about the public conversations, all the conversations that happen on the public places, for example, Twitter-like conversations and Instagram-like conversation. We have also built one tool for private communications. For example, if you look at the communication tools right now, for example, WhatsApp, they have a very kind of weird privacy policy, right? We don't know what exactly they're doing with the data. So similarly, all the centralized communication tools, they're again owned by centralized entities. So we are developing this messenger, which is for private communications. It's completely end-to-end encryption. Most importantly, you do not need an email address, phone number, or address book. For example, if you install Signal or any of these apps, they actually look at your address book and automatically send the message to your friends that you are on these networks, right? So that is kind of intrusive. And if you are a journalist using Signal or any of these platforms, you have to make your phone number public, which is a very personal information, right? Your phone number. So here, using decentralized identity, you do not need any of these personally identifiable information. You have this decentralized identity, which is built using the public key cryptography primitives. And this is a very, very powerful tool in the hands of journalists, whistleblowers, and activists. And it's completely end-to-end encryption. Not only that, the data is stored in a decentralized manner. There is no centralized server. So the main exciting thing that's happening recently is this shift from tools and platforms that are controlled in a centralized manner, and they're very intrusive, to a new type of protocols that are decentralized and platforms that respect users' privacy. For example, we have Google search engine, we have a DuckDuckGo search engine. DuckDuckGo respects users' privacy. There are many new privacy respecting search engines that are coming up. So here is the table of the old style platforms and the new style protocols. So we are developing a new style decentralized social media both for public communications and private communications. So in summary, what is FreeBits? It has three main aspects. It's a decentralized ledger of global ideas, free expressions, visuals, creations, credentials. For example, if a university wants to issue a credential to you, they don't have to talk to us. They can directly issue it to your decentralized identity using open source software and tamper-proof socioeconomic data. So that is the ledger part. And then we have a community of free thinkers who can use this protocol without any approval. And the third part is a marketplace for independent creators. We created a marketplace where anyone, anywhere from the world, anywhere in the world can be a citizen journalist or a data journalist or a photojournalist and prove the authenticity of their creations and also get tips from their tips or subscriptions or get paid in term or sell their creations to media companies and so on. So our biggest catalyst, what motivated us to build this platform, is the recent rise in the number of citizen journalists actively looking for fair protocols and platforms. And here I want to show this Article 19 from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And this is what's under threat currently. So that's the main discussion that's happening in the world. How do we regulate this? Who regulates this online speech and who should be responsible? So we have a solution that is perfect in the sense that it's a protocol not controlled by anyone, and there is a very usable and easy to use application. Both we have on a website and we also have a mobile application. So if you want to check out, that is our website, that is my email address. Am I done with the time, or can I show a quick video of 3 minutes?
Sure, you can.
Okay, let me show you. I made a quick compilation of some of the let me share. I'm sharing a new window here. So I just want to show some of the opinions from this thing.
Dr. Shiva, we are not able to hear the audio. I think it is because it is a YouTube video. It automatically blocks the sound.
You're not able to hear the video, audio?
Yeah, we can see the video, but not the audio.
Okay, is there a
You can have a audio sharing option there. You will be having that.
Okay, maybe you can try with try the sharing again with the audio button ticked.
Oh, okay. Let me check. Oh, okay. Thank you. That helps.
Gatekeeper.
Okay, how about now? Can you hear the voice?
Yes.
You
Not on Twitter
Okay, let
to
me start from
decide
again.
to just stuff outright. With a standard, it is not on Twitter to decide to just ban this stuff outright. With a standard, which when applied fairly, and like I said, this is what the FCC is getting at, if applied fairly, would be a dramatic threat to all of journalism. All of journalism.
Right.
they are sort of like a platform, like an electronic soapbox that they've erected in a park and invited everybody and anybody to come. And when they start picking and choosing, no, you're not good, you're not good, you're okay. When they start being a gatekeeper, you run the risk of them closing people out of a national dialogue and depriving people of an audience, basically. And that's a problem.
If we're allowing permits, you allow this overclass, this Ministry of Truth, to give you a permit to say this or that. Permit derives from the word permission, which is the opposite of a right. So we shouldn't treat this stuff like that. It's too important. It's too important.
Most of the time, people talk about the harm that speech can cause, whether it be disinformation / fake news, or whether it be hate speech, or whether it be terrorist content. And I agree, speech does have an enormous capacity to do harm, as well as an enormous capacity to do good. We protect it precisely because it is so powerful. But the argument, 99.9% of the time, starts and ends with the potential harm of free speech. Those who advocate censorship never examine whether censorship is going to be effective in addressing, redressing, reducing the harm. They never address whether censorship, to the contrary, is going to do more harm than good. And every situation that I'm aware of, censorship actually ends up being ineffective in addressing the harms at stake at best, or counterproductive at worst.
You could wake up overnight, have your whole channel deleted, even if you followed all the rules, whether it be demonetization, an algorithm change, or what happened to me, a bot just zapping my channel. You're one YouTube mistake away from being gone.
At some point, they run out of the left ball with.
If a couple of social media like to generate
To dictate the lives of everybody. That's
plight.
Zuckerberg or Jack Dorsey or whoever do not get to dictate the lives of everybody. That's the whole purpose of living in a democracy.
Okay, so thank you. I thought that's a very important thing. And one of the persons in that video is Ira Glasser. He was an executive director at American Civil Liberties Union from 1978 till 2001. Please watch some of his documentaries about him. He's a very strong advocate of free speech. So with that, I'll conclude. And if you have any questions, I'm glad to answer.
Thank you so much, sir, for your very valuable time. And we are extremely glad. I think I can say this on behalf of the entire Kreisner family, that we are extremely glad to be a part of this launch of this platform. And yes, you have given us a lot of information, a lot of ideas that I'm sure will be beneficial for each and every one of us who are attending this session. Now I would like to call Ms. Neenu PK, Assistant Professor, Department of Media Studies, to host the question and answer session.
Good morning, Dr. Shiva.
Yeah, hi.
I'm Neenu and I'll be moderating the question and answer session. So shall we begin?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So the first question is, wouldn't anonymity also help people who spread disinformation to get away with it?
Yeah, so this is, in fact, if you watch that video, she already answered that question, right? So as most of the time, any invention, right? If you look at any invention in the world, starting from a kitchen knife to the internet, it always has, maybe 90 positive aspects and then 10% of negative aspects, right? So there is always a negative aspect or someone who can misuse the system, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't invent that technology or we shouldn't use the technology. So that is the short answer. The real thing to think about is, if you look at social media currently, there are several types of users, right? If you look at journalists and global leaders, politicians, and whistleblowers, these are the people who really, really need this kind of solution. And there will be a small percentage of people who will be misusing this platform. For example, they probably want to say, my favorite example is flat earthers, right? Let's say there is a person who wants to say that Earth is flat. So he can say Earth is flat all day on this platform. But if you don't follow him, you don't get annoyed by that person, right? So there will be some people who believe different things, even if you tell them that that is not true. There will be some people who will be posting fake news and fake photos. The correct way to solve that problem is to have more discussions. For example, let's say you have coronavirus and someone comes up with some very weird cure, right? I mean, I can't even imagine some kind of cures that people came out in India and even in US, right? For example, drinking some kind of house cleaner. So those are very dangerous fake news. But the only way to prevent them is to have more discussions and educating people about the positive aspects and negative aspects of a particular drug or a particular cure. So in the long run, that is the best way to solve this problem. But if you take a shortcut and just censor people, that will create even more confusion. For example, if you censor people, they assume that what they are saying is actually correct, and people are just censoring them because they don't like them, right? So that will create a very, very dangerous society.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Shiva. We'll move on to the next question.
Yeah. Yes.
Rewarding or incentivizing good content is a great model in blockchain. How does it work in FreeBits?
Yeah, so rewarding and incentivizing good content, that's one of the beautiful things about blockchain protocols. This is what motivated me to leave academia and start my startup, because it's a once in a generation shift where we are shifting from centralized controlled platforms to decentralized protocols. Not only these are protocols that are governed by this public key cryptography, they also have inbuilt incentives. So for example, any creator, any follower can reward the creator for good content, right? So over a period of time, the good content automatically gets rewarded, right? If you're a journalist who is in Afghanistan and telling real stories, you get rewarded, maybe even a Pulitzer Prize, right? So if you are someone who is constantly saying bad things and constantly, pushing out fake news, people will lose trust in you over a period of time. In fact, that's the situation we are in right now. If you look at the mainstream media, many of the people lost trust in mainstream media because they always have some kind of narrative. And then once they have the narrative, they try to put the facts and hide some facts to suit that narrative, right? So even mainstream media is losing trust. So similarly, here in a very decentralized way, when there are millions of people using this protocol and millions of people really consuming that, even if there are small fraction of people who are malicious, the good content automatically comes out. So we have a mechanism in FreeBits where you can reward the users by likes or by paying them cryptocurrency or by what is it called, by tipping them, by being a subscriber and so on. For example, if you look at John Doe, right, the person, he or she who revealed those Panama Papers, we don't know who he or she is, but what if he had a decentralized identity and he revealed those papers by signing those papers using this decentralized identity. So now he can reveal more and more information in an anonymous manner. So that means once he revealed this very important information, he already got a lot of reputation. So that means he's a very trustworthy insider with a lot of good social intentions. So that automatically works in our protocol with these cryptocurrency incentives.
Okay. We'll move on to the next question.
Okay.
Visual social media platforms are emerging fast as choices platform for quality storytelling for climate and development citizen journalism. How FreeBits facilitate this?
Yeah, in fact, if you remember, by the way, thank you for inviting me again. I actually gave a talk last year, remember. In fact, you asked me the same questions last year too. So last year, if you remember my presentation, I actually presented a photojournalism application, and we called it TrueDat. And that's what motivated me to develop that app. Is this kind of journalist in South Africa and Afghanistan and Iran who really wanted this protocol to interact with everyone, right? That's how we started. And as we got more and more users, they asked for a general platform, which is more similar to Twitter. So now our platform, FreeBits, it's the next natural evolution of TrueDat. We changed the name of TrueDat to FreeBits, and we made it a much more accessible platform now for everyone. So in fact, even with this new branding, which is a Twitter plus Instagram model, most of our content creators are creating visual media. For example, visual photos and videos and so on, right? Because they are much more powerful. Just one photo is worth thousands of words, right? Just one photo taken by a person in Gaza has raised millions of dollars for a good cause. So what we are doing is in our app and in the front end, we are giving more preference to the visual photo. And another very important aspect about visual photo is, I presented this last year too, where if you write a text post, you can say anything that you want, right? You can say Earth is flat, right? But if you take a photo, and especially using our application, which has this security checks inside the app built in, it actually makes sure that you are in a 3D world, you are in a real world, and using the depth sensing features of your camera, and it makes sure that that photo is taken at that particular time and that particular location. So it's much more powerful in preventing fake photos. So as you know, in India especially, people are sharing some very old photos that happened 10 years ago and say that this is what happened yesterday or day before yesterday, right? So that such kind of misinformation can be drastically reduced using visual media. So I'm more excited about visual media than text media because of this tracking of this provenance and the digital proofs.
Thank you for answering that question. We have a lot of questions coming in from the participants, but due to the limited time, we'll just reduce it to a couple of them. So shall we move on to the next question?
Yes, please.
Okay. How can FreeBits ensure bots doesn't control the opinion building like in Twitter?
How can FreeBits ensure that bots doesn't control the opinion building like in Twitter? So opinion building is very subjective, right? So what happens in Twitter right now is, someone says something and then people immediately react to that without even looking at who that person is, right? Some random person says something and people have this kind of curiosity that they have to answer. They have to respond to that, right? So that, in my opinion, is some kind of unsolvable problem. Actually, you asked a similar question last time too, like how do we prevent fake information? How do we prevent the spread of information, right? So my answer last year was the same. My answer is, we really have to think before making a comment. We really have to think before sharing some content, right? For example, my parents are in India. Sometimes they send me some fake news that they saw on WhatsApp. They somehow realize that it is fake. But when I see that, many people fall for that, right? Because someone took a lot of time to actually narrate this story and create an alternate narrative, right? So over a period of time, people should realize that people should question what is the source of this? Who is the person who is talking about it? Is he a reputed doctor, or is he a reputed journalist, or is he some random person with some random opinion, right? So reputation takes some time to build. So in case of bots, the answer is, especially with anonymous and pseudonymous identities, we really don't know who is a bot and who is a real person, right? The only way to figure that out is have some kind of reputation over a period of time. So look at their past experience, past posts, and then start believing in them. For example, this inventor of mRNA, he is a very reputed person. So at least, even if he's wrong, I want to listen to him, right? Because he has some kind of reputation. So the short answer is, we should control our emotions and think before sharing and think before commenting, and resist our urges to just attack people online. So that is an unsolvable problem. The responsibility of solving that problem is in each individual's hand.
Thank you for answering that question, sir. We will move on to the last question of the session now.
Okay.
Would governments agree to the idea of a decentralized digital identity, especially the totalitarian government?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. So the way that the question is phrased is very interesting, because you said especially totalitarian governments, right? In fact, that's already happening in places like China. They are, in fact, it's very surprising to me. Like last year when I was giving a talk in November, most of my talks are in October, November, December. When I was giving a talk, someone asked me this question: what do you think about Bitcoin? Because most of the mining power is located in China. And as you know, just a couple of months ago, China banned Bitcoin, and now they have zero hash power, right? They have no power on Bitcoin at all, especially the mining power, right? Now, USA is the leader in the mining power. So these totalitarian governments, they are, very hard to predict what they will do. So, I mean, to be straightforward, for example, if the doctor that warned us in 2019, the Chinese doctor, if we really listened to him, we could have prevented this catastrophe, right? Where millions of people died across the world. So that is the danger of totalitarian governments, where they take controls and they suppress people and suppress the truth. So the answer is, if you have a protocol, the protocol is open to everyone across the world, even if they're living in China, as long as they have electricity and internet connection. You and me, we take electricity and internet for granted, but there are some people, for example, North Korea. I was told that a large proportion of North Korea has no electricity, right? So first, we have to make sure that we have this global discussion about giving the basic utilities to people, electricity and internet connection. And then people will realize that, okay, this is what's happening. People will connect to the protocols and directly consume the content. So one very specific example I want to give is, there's a Chinese Me Too activist in China, and she was really suppressed. Her story was suppressed. What she did very intelligently is she used a blockchain protocol. She used Ethereum protocol, and she used her command line interface to post her story on Ethereum blockchain, right? So that is very completely uncensorable, accessible to everyone. She is in a totalitarian government, but she still did that. So that is the power of protocols. So governments cannot ban it. So they can ban the mining aspects of it, but usage aspects of it, they really cannot ban, especially with the pseudonymous identities, they really cannot ban.
Thank you, Dr. Shivakinli, for answering all the questions that we had. And thank you so much for being with us again and being so patient with us and answering all the questions.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me again. And it's a great and very high quality conference. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, sir. It's really an honor to get such an appreciation from you. And hopefully we can collaborate in the near future for other ventures too.
Yeah, thank you, definitely.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so that's all. That was the end of the question answer session with Dr. Shivakinli. Now I hand over to Devika Satish. Over to you, Devika.
Once again, thank you so much, sir, for being here. And thank you so much, Nina ma'am, for being an amazing host. Now, as the session comes to a conclusion, I would like to invite Ram Gopal Harikrishnan, second year student, Department of Media Studies, to officially give out the vote of thanks.
Respected guests, faculty of Christ-Nagar College, Trivandrum, and people from all around the globe, a very warm good morning to all of you. My name is Ram Gopal Harikrishnan. I'm a second-year student from Christ-Nagar College from the Department of Media Studies. And I'm speaking to you today on behalf of our college to express our heartfelt gratitude for this amazing session that we had. First of all, I would like to thank God Almighty. He had immensely blessed us with the smooth running of this program. Next, I would like to thank our amazing guest speaker, Dr. Shiva Kalyan, for his amazing session. He had talked about decentralized social media and introduced his new social media platform, which is FreeBits. And this is a very important topic considering that in the present days, the truth is being suppressed. Once again, I would like to thank you, sir, for this mind-blowing session. Next, I would like to thank our manager, Reverend Father Dr. Tito Verghese CMI, for his never-ending support. Our principal, Dr. Jolly Jacob, for her right guidance. Our head of the department, Manju Rose Matthews, for organizing such a big program. And Emil Abraham, who was our entire technical support. Then, I would like to thank Tara CB and Ninu PK, who are the coordinators of the session, and every other teacher, faculty member, and student who has been serving and assisting the program with full dedication behind the scenes. Next, I would like to thank you, the audience. You guys have been a fantastic audience with all your fantastic questions. Even I have learned so much new perspectives thanks to your questions and our speakers' answers. A big thanks to you too. So once again, a huge thanks to everyone who has been a part of this amazing session. But the show is not over yet though. We have more interesting sessions coming. I'm sure it can enlighten all of you even more. Thank you so much, and back to the host.
Thank you, Ram Gopal. Thank you, Dr. Shiva, for your innovative thinking to benefit the public opinion, freedom of expression, and free journalism. And also very grateful for accepting our invitation.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Manju Rose Matthews.
Oh, so thank you so much once again to the guest speaker, to the team, and to the amazing audience that we've had. And this marks the end of the first session for the third day. I'm Devika Sajeesh, and now I would like to officially hand over the screen to Lakshmi MD, second year student, Department of Media Studies, Christ-Nagar College. Lakshmi, the screen is all yours.
Thank you, Devika Sajeesh. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the third day of the Impetus 2021 three-day online international conference on social media and developing societies, emerging trends, platforms, impact, and digital citizenship, organized by Department of Media Studies and IQAC, Christ-Nagar College, Kerala, India. I am Lakshmi MD, second year student at the Department of Media Studies, Christ-Nagar College, and I will be the host for this session. In this session, we will have the paper presentation on changing societies. Before that, I invite Jennifer Ronald, first year student at the Department of Media Studies, to introduce the program and session chair. Jennifer, please.
Jennifer, unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Lakshmi. Good morning, everyone. I am Jennifer Ronald, first year student, Department of Media Studies, Christ-Nagar College, Trivandrum. I am assigned with the task of introducing the chair of this paper presentation session. This session is chaired by Dr. Shilpa Kalyan, Associate Professor and Head of the Department, Humanities, Presidency College, Bangalore. A very experienced assistant professor with a demonstrated history of working in the higher education industry, strong educational professional, skilled in research, e-learning, educational leadership, and leadership development. She is recognized by the Academic Council of Electors as one of the India's top 50 women leaders in the education industry 2020. She is also a media literacy trainer for the BBC Young Reporter India program, an initiative of BBC News World, Data Leads, and Internews 2021. With much pleasure, I invite Dr. Shilpa Kalyan to begin the session.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Jennifer. Good morning to all of you here. Good morning, Dr. Manju Rose, for inviting me, and thank you for inviting me for the session. Shall we begin the session? Do we have the line of presenters, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. It's a very interesting, pertinent conference, I must say. It's a very interesting and relevant conference that Christ-Nagar College is hosting. Social media and developing society, emerging trends, platforms, impact, and digital citizenship. These are the relevant discussions. These are the areas where relevant discussions have to happen knowing what we have gone through during the pandemic, the kind of changes, paradigm shift that all of us have experienced in the last almost 1.5, 2 years, the entire media landscape has changed. So with that in mind, such conferences bring in new thoughts, new discussions, new ideas, new learning opportunities where we broaden our horizon in the media landscape. Yeah. With that, having said that, I think we shall start with the paper presentations. The first session that we have for the day is, can you please share the screen with the session? Is that, just a minute. The name of the presenters.
Lakshmi, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. The first session, I suppose it's a continuation of the yesterday's session. The session name is Pandemonium. Is that right, Lakshmi?
No, ma'am. Changing society is the topic.
Pandemonium, fake news, misinformation. Isn't that the first paper?
No, ma'am. Shall I?
Platforms for change, social change. Is that the
Shilpa,
session?
ma'am?
Yeah. That.
Sorry
Platform
to
for
intervene.
social change.
Lakshmi will announce the presenter and the title, and
okay,
you can go like that.
Okay,
Thank
fair
you.
enough. Yeah, fair enough. That's fine. I mean, I have the paper presenters and the name of the presenter. I can, I can do that. So the first session for the day would be platform for social change. Yeah. And we have presenter Ms. Subhashini K, right? A PhD scholar from the Department of Visual Communication, Hindustan College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore. Do we have Ms. Subhashini here?
Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, ma'am. The paper that you're presenting is on qualitative study on educational interventions on new media advertisement literacy among adolescents in Salem. Is that right? Yeah, you can start, ma'am.
Shall I share my screen, ma'am?
Yeah, please go ahead, ma'am. All the presenters, please note you will have a time limit of 5 minutes. Manju, ma'am, 5 minutes.
Ma'am, actually, it's 7 minutes.
5 to 7 minutes.
5 to 7 minutes.
Yes.
We'll ring a bell at, or we'll issue a warning at 5 and 7.
Okay, sir.
Lakshmi will do that.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, ma'am, shall I start?
Please start. Please.
Okay. Good morning to one and all. I'm Subhashini, PhD scholar from Department of Visual Communication, Hindustan College, Coimbatore. And my study is about a qualitative study on educational intervention on new media advertisement literacy among adolescents in Salem. So the research is about media literacy. The reach and access of new media by children is increasing day by day. The new media content is mostly integrated with advertisements, which are highly persuasive in nature. Children now are exposed to new form of advertisements, and they are unable to differentiate the new form of advertisement from other media content. They get exposed to embedded and more customized advertisements based on their browse history. So my research problem is that, do advertisement literacy education for the children enable them to identify, interpret, and interact with the new media advertisements? These are all components of media literacy, and the major objectives of my study is to find the level of prevailing new media advertisement literacy among the select adolescents in Salem district, which is in Tamil Nadu, and to find the level of perceived new media advertisement literacy among the select adolescents. Perceived in the sense, the research provides some intervention, that is new media advertisement literacy education to the select adolescents, so that after intervention their level of perceived literacy is also analyzed. And the third objective is to find the impact of intervention on the level of new media advertisement literacy, and lastly to find the demographical variables, the impact of demographical variables on their level of new media advertisement literacy.
So advertisement literacy, one second, ma'am. Okay. Advertisement literacy is a component of MIL, that is Media and Information Literacy. It plays a crucial role in reducing advertisement susceptibility. The main definition for advertisement literacy is it refers to the personal knowledge people have about advertising, its persuasive intent, and the advertising techniques that are being used to target them, and the skills they have to critically cope up with the advertising. The major variables used in the study were recognition of new media advertisements, understanding of targeted advertisements, understanding the embedded advertisement formats, counteraction to those advertisements, and interaction and influence with them. And finally, the attitude towards ethical issues and privacy breach of those advertisements. Independent variables used in the study were age, gender, type of school, time spent on social media platforms and internet, and also the mediation by parents and teachers regarding the new media usage. Methodology adopted for the study is experimental design with qualitative approach. It's a new model. One-to-one method of the interview was used. Pre and post interview was conducted. That is before intervention and after intervention. The tool used was semi-structured questionnaire, and the sampling was done using random purposive sampling. Around 40 samples were selected who were all adolescents of age from 13 to 18 and who are identified as active users of new media and internet. Now the findings reveals that regarding the age, gender, and time spent on social media, decrease in age, that is lower the age.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.
You have 2 minutes left.
Okay. So lower the age, children are more vulnerable towards the new media advertisements. That is, they're more prone to the new media advertisements, irrespective with their gender. That is, more both the male and female are more prone to new media advertisements, and increase in the time spent on internet. Increase their frequency towards that exposure to online advertisements. And regarding the mode of access and mediation, the mediation by the parents and teachers couldn't help the children all the times, as their mode of access to internet and social media may vary from environment and time. So advertisement literacy differs with the environment, and the importance of new media advertisement literacy education is a need to make children empowered in all the environment. The intervention provided to the children during the experiment enhanced them the following competencies towards new media advertisement, that are content of new media, awareness towards the content of new media and advertisements, identification and interpretation of new media advertisements, and awareness towards social media, digital footprint, account privacy, and knowledge about cyber security and safe searching, control over audience, tracking of permissions, enabling ad blockers and blocking pop-ups, and so on. These are all some competencies relating to new media advertising. My study concludes that children in their adolescence have very low level of new media advertisement literacy, irrespective to their gender and mode of access. So the intervention will have worked good in enhancing the level of new media advertisement literacy. The study was successful in enhancing their competencies regarding receiving, identifying, interpreting, and interacting with the new media advertisements. So the study strongly suggests schools to include media literacy education for children to make them empowered towards contemporary media and new form of advertisements. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Subhashini. It's a very interesting area of research. Media literacy is a very relevant and important domain for us to discuss. Fair enough. Just a couple of questions, Subhashini. What procedure did you follow before interacting with the children? in terms of the formalities, in terms of permissions?
Yeah, we got permission from schools and their parents because it is regarding their new media usage. First, we have volunteer students who state that they are active users of internet and new media. Secondly, we got permission from their parents through schools. They fill up the form that they are ready to participate in that survey.
There is a consent form.
And since we are providing some interventions, we got a permission from their parents also.
Okay. So can you please be a little specific about the nature of intervention? Did you screen a specific kind of ads or?
Okay. It is more on, we didn't display any advertisements or any video relating that. We just had a lecture regarding the new media competencies and identify major component of the intervention concentrated on identifying advertisements, new media advertisements, because the study children are unable to identify new media advertisement with the television or traditional media. No, they can easily identify those advertisements, but this new form of advertisement, these are more embedded and integrated with the contents, like in Facebook, Twitter, there are media influencers. They promote some products, but they can't identify the new form of advertisements in these platforms. So our lecture provide what role, how we can identify them and interpreting with them, like what should we do or how to react for those advertisements, how to block them, or why should we block them, or if you want to see it, what kind of actions to be taken for that, likewise the intervention or presented for them.
Okay, just a last question, Subhashini. Since you said social media, see the children of this age group are not legally permissible to open accounts on social media.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So how did you deal? It's a dilemma. It's an ethical dilemma, right? You know. Yeah. Most of them have, probably have opened their accounts with the fake age proof, age, right? Age entries. So, but how did you, face? How did you deal with this situation? It is a very challenging area to deal with children. Actually, research on children is very, very sensitive.
Yeah, but most of the students are in this current scenario, they are accessing their new media gadgets for the educational purpose also. And moreover, children in Tamil Nadu and especially the study area of my study, they are using social networks for, they create content. They have YouTube channels, they have with their parents' permission. Even parents are permitting their children to have a channel, even though they know kids are not allowed to have their account in social networking sites.
Was the legal awareness given to them that it is actually not legal?
Yeah, the awareness was also a part of intervention. Okay. But parents are mostly allowing their children. They they want their children to interact with the new media. They allow their children to create contents in social media platforms. They are very supportive and encouraging their children. So the intervention also provided some cyber security awareness to make them enhanced, empowered when they are using those type of social networking sites.
Okay.
Parental education and the schools or also like the study suggests them to have media literacy intervention education for the students, so that they can participate in a safe mode.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Subhashini. Thank you so much. It's a very good paper, very relevant paper, and the intervention method is always towards seeing a positive change. Research not just for the sake of research, but then doing something good to the society. And I suppose this is your, PhD work.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, all the best.
Thank you so much.
To seeing a very good research paper on this. Thank you so much, Subhashini.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Subhashini, ma'am, and
thank you,
Dr. Shilpa Kalyan, ma'am. Next, I invite Urmila Chakraborty to present his paper on current scientific perspective on technology-based teletherapeutic context in India with special emphasis on e-psychological consultation.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I'm sharing the screen.
Sure, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, ma'am. Good morning, one and all present here. And I'm Urmita. Yeah, I'm just from Kolkata and sitting here in Kolkata. Yeah, I'm connecting with many, respectful people. And yeah, I'm enjoying this conference from the day one actually. Okay, let's start. Actually, basically now I'm in practice. Basically, I have a long career, like 10-year long career. I started my career as a teacher, but then I shifted to practice. And yeah, now I have my own clinic, and yeah, I'm associated with like leading a few of the leading online app-based consultation companies in India. And yeah, I'm besides I'm doing like I'm attaching with those companies and I'm dealing online cases. Okay, so I found the need of this kind of paper, and yeah, I should share the knowledge. Okay, this is kind of a theoretical paper, but I have certain knowledge practically how we are dealing the cases. Okay, over like I started online case dealing from this year, basically 2021. And yeah, I have gained certain knowledge. So see, let's start with the concepts. Like yeah, it's basically telehealth. We are dealing cases through certain telehealth based principles. Okay, and yeah, here we are basically depending on the electronic data and yeah, and broadcast communication most importantly. And it is kind of digital app based consultation where we are providing care to patients. And yeah, and see, it is the developing country India. Like here we having so much issues, economic problems, and yeah, problems that discussed in the morning session, like electricity issues, yeah, and the internet problems, and yeah, the hunger for kind of financial issues, financial hunger is there. So yeah, we have to initiate this revolution with significant.
Just a minute. I'm really sorry to interrupt you. You have a PPT?
Yeah, I'm sharing it.
Is it visible, Lakshmi?
No, ma'am, it's not visible.
Yeah, it's not visible, ma'am. That's why.
Can you share it from your side? Actually, I'm sharing the screen.
Lakshmi, can you please help?
One second. One second, I'm restarting it.
Yeah, now.
Yeah, now we can.
Yeah, can you see my screen? Yeah, that's why basically.
Yes, now it's visible.
Yeah, now we can see.
Now you can see, right?
Yeah, we can see.
Sure. 1 second. Sorry. Ma'am, now is it visible?
Yes, it is visible now. Yeah.
Okay, this is the title page.
Yeah. It's
okay, sure. Thank you, ma'am, for the guidance. Yeah. Okay, so I'm coming to the second slide. Yeah, some ideas on main theme. So telehealth. So yeah, I was saying few words about the telehealth issues. Okay. So here we are very much depending on the technologies. Yeah, blockchain technology. We basically these apps are built on this kind of newest technologies. And yeah, here we actually are focusing on certain kind of health related policies in India, like 2017 Indian National Health Policy. We actually focusing on this health policy where it has been narrated kind of digitization of health information and health for all. So this health for all concept we actually following like when we are actually dealing cases. And yeah, it is like the patients or the portion of the population who are actually utilizing this telehealth based services. They are not from the kind of rural areas, like where the health services are not being able to reach. People who are actually in private sectors, kind of who are actually suppose having 12 hours or 14 hours work day. Okay, so they are facing issues to meet a doctor in kind of inpatient clinics, okay, or hospitals. So they are utilizing this kind of facilities basically. So yeah, we are following this national health policy of 2017, and yeah, digitization of health information we are actually doing. And yeah, the supporting literatures kind of in the slide 3, basically various studies. Like in this paper I have focused on 76 studies. Actually there are so many literatures, basically in a foreign context there are so many researches, but yeah, we have to materialize those concepts in Indian setting. And here the issues like that the researchers focus are like distance variable. Okay, so people from rural sites or remote areas, they cannot visit the suitable hospitals. So yeah, there we are reaching basically. And yeah, treatment plans has been revolutionized, and we are
Okay,
using
ma'am.
AI technology. And
Please not the time limit. We
Yeah,
have
yeah,
2
sure.
minutes left.
Ma'am, if you don't mind, yeah, you can give a brief gist of the
Okay, sure, ma'am.
methodology,
Yeah.
objection, and go to the findings.
Okay, sure, yeah. So here we are actually focusing on quick gathering of clinical data. So methodology, if I say like methodology, here I have focused on the like secondary data, okay, and the qualitative analysis I have done, okay, and it is kind of an exploratory research. And yeah, the aim like aim is to gather like relevant evidences like which are supporting the concept like yeah, telehealth can be a suitable option in developing country. Okay, and here we are also focusing on the necessity of telehealth policies and telehealth technologies. And see, result and discussion here, actually I can say like we are focusing on certain advanced technologies like telemetry system, machine learning, and the vital aspect here is like we have to deal cases like we deal cases when in the face-to-face interaction. So similarity between these two context, two situations should be there. So the main issue in psychological cases like the maintenance of eye contact and yeah, auditory sensation. So these issues we are tackling, we are dealing when we are basically dealing this such cases through online mode. And yeah, some guidelines from APA like legal arrangements, okay, ethical standards, and next kind of professional context. So here clinicians who are actually doing this kind of online based consultations, they need to undergo certain like trainings, okay, on the job training and off the job training. So these are very much required. And here we are providing the patients like kind of e-sign documents, okay, and here again the technology is supporting us. And yeah, like we are focusing on distributor networks. And there are certain facilities when patients are like waiting for meeting their doctors here on like online apps, like online waiting room facilities there, okay, and kind of we can say like it's kind of advanced setup is there. So it's quite different than any kind of hospital setting or kind of any kind of like inpatient clinic. So telehealth related useful softwares like softwares basically actually they are characterized by encrypted like technologies, okay, encryption, okay, that is very much required. Like we are focusing on video tutorials and the group sessions, okay, customized branding. So these are the few elements. So all this have been included in my paper. So it is kind of a long paper actually I have written. So the conclusion or concluding points can be like we are looking for low priced hardwares and softwares, okay, and some important thing is like Teletherapy Act in India, okay. So an inclusion of telehealth system in curriculum, that is very much important. And certain kind of technologies like inclusion of micro strip patch antenna, ATS-1 satellite and ATS-6 satellite. So this kind of technologies we need to incorporate in the system, in those apps, basically health apps. Okay, and yeah, there should we need some sort of collaborations, actually collaborations between Government of India, ISRO, NASA, and disaster management department. So it should be an integrated overall system that will guide us, that will guide the doctor-patient communication. And yeah, competencies of the psychologist is very much like we require, because yeah, like trained psychologists who are much more like sociable. Okay, so social gestures is very much kind of very important domain here. Like how, when we are dealing cases, it's kind of video conferencing. Okay, video call we are actually making, then so patients need to be feel quite comfortable, and they should reveal all their mental health issues, because mental health issue is something much more different than any kind of physical symptoms. So yeah, the characteristics or of the situation, or suppose the personality qualities of these psychologists. So these are very much important domains. And yeah, security and transmission of data and information, that is also another important context here. So limitation, we can say, like yeah, in India we need to focus on certain like aspects. I have told, like economic aspects is there, and yeah, people are not trusting the online consultation. Sometimes they are distracting, distrust on the part of the clients are there. So we see every app, in every health app in India, basically they are having a system like where patients are sending feedbacks, and those feedbacks are often very much critical about the doctor, but we always try to provide help as much as we can. But still there is some sort of misconceptions, and that's why actually patients are not trusting the online doctors. Okay, so but these doctors are actually practicing in real setting, like in the not non-virtually, but still these patients are having certain kind of misconceptions. So that part required to be dealt carefully. And yeah, policy levels, like we need to incorporate more healthier Indian like government policies to actually make this make people aware about these kind of concepts. And future studies should be based on primary data. Okay, that thing I'm planning in my next few researches. Okay, and yeah, and we can compare the like patient centric help between different apps. Okay, so that can be another research. And yeah, thanks for for listening. And yeah, I'm trying to finish it. And yeah, I hope, like, yeah, it's quite different. And yeah, when we are dealing cases, these patients are having so much severe problems which actually we are missing in inpatient clinics. So, okay, that is the biggest difference I have noticed. Okay, so much urgent like emotional outburst we are dealing basically through online mode. That is very much significant. Okay, so anytime they can contact a doctor on any kind of these virtual apps, and they can reveal their emotional problems. Okay, so so emotion focused therapies we are basically utilizing when we are dealing such cases. And thank you everyone for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a very nice insightful one. Just that it's a niche area, right? And I think the only the major question that I have regarding the therapeutic context. Now, there are different therapies that work in different ways, right?
Yeah, ma'am.
And some therapies are very conducive for even teleconsultation, online consultation. There are some where you cannot do online, right? It has to be done one-on-one. It has to be done face-to-face in a certain ambience, in a certain contextual situation. So, in the paper, have you specified any, the limitations or rather the scope of the study? Therapy,
yeah, ma'am. That thing, yes, sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I have mentioned, like NIMHANS has
I think your audio is not coming through, ma'am. Okay, I guess she has a network issue.
Okay. Shall we move on, ma'am?
Yeah, Lakshmi, sorry.
Shall we move to the next?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Before inviting the next presenter, I like to announce that before we begin this session, presenters, please note that the maximum time allotted for the paper presentation is 7 minutes. I request presenters to stick on to the time limit. Okay. And
yeah, you can call the next presenter. Yeah.
Now I invite Gayatri Baiju.
Yeah, just a comment. Just a minute. Sorry, Lakshmi. Sorry to interfere.
Yeah, no problem.
Just a common, announcement for all the presenters. You can give a very brief gist of what you are presenting, the introduction, and you don't have to go into literature review and the background of the study. Directly go into your objective and your methodology, which is extremely important, and focus more time on your findings. That way you will complete the presentation. Otherwise, if you spend more time in the introduction, then you'll not be able to complete. Yeah, fair enough. Thank you, Lakshmi. Yeah, you can go on.
I invite Gayatri Baiju to present paper on survival adaptations to COVID-19 among the tribal communities in Kerala.
Neville is not here, is it?
Hello.
Lakshmi, Neville is not here? Neville?
Neville has requested a change in his order.
Okay, fine.
So he'll be coming at the last of the session.
Okay, done.
Hi. Hello.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
So hi, friends. My name is Gayatri Baiju. I'm from Calicut, Kerala. I'm doing my PhD on communication among the tribal villages in Kerala at the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication under the guidance of my most respected and beloved sir, Dr. Abdul Munir. So for the topic of the day, it is survival adaptations to COVID-19 among the tribal communities in Kerala. So Aboriginals or indigenous group people, they have a long back history of extermination, especially from epidemics. Europeans used to migrate from America with their smallpox and measles, and that was a major reason for the extension of Yanomami tribes in Brazil. So in such a terrifying history, COVID-19 is a life threat to indigenous people globally. And India stands behind Africa in terms of tribal concentration, with 10.43 crores or 8.6% of the total population having tribes. This scenario of compromised health and low immunity prompts the tribes to be easily vulnerable to COVID-19. The high density of population, public distribution systems, and community lifestyle can contribute to the super fast spreading if one person is affected. And during COVID, tribals faced a lot of issues like racial discrimination, regional discrimination, and losing of jobs and reverse migration to their native places. So in Kerala, tribal population is incredibly low. The tribal settlements in Kerala are an overly sensitive area where people live remarkably close to each other, and they follow totally community life with very, very less personal space and restricted compounds. And so the chances are high for quick spread. But the government of Kerala, along with the help of a lot of organizations, they are trying their best to protect tribals from COVID-19. So here the general objective of my study is to analyze the impact of COVID-19 on the tribal communities of Kerala. And I have specific objectives like to plot the major activities and to assess the developmental initiatives. So the nature of my study demands a qualitative paradigm of research, and I did content analysis of newspapers from March 2020 to September 2021, along with intensive interviews with 3 officials, one health professional from Idukki, a volunteer worker from Attapadi, and a tribal community member from Wayanad. Yeah, I chose these 3 districts since they have the highest population of tribals, and they represent northern, middle, and southern zones of Kerala. So coming to the analysis part, the major activities carried out in the tribal communities can be divided as the following, and we'll go deep into each. So first one is health and hygiene. 13 mobile medical units were functioning among the tribal communities in various parts of Kerala, conducting an average of 20 medical camps per month. Immunity boosting camps were actively held in tribal communities. The forest department supplied hygiene kit consisting of a mask, like sanitizer, soap, and things. And extra protection and extra care were given to people of age groups below 6 and above 65. So they used to go to homes and take care of the tribal old people. And second one is necessities and precautions. Self-proclaimed lockdowns were the important initiative done by the tribal communities in Kerala. They kept a list of migrant workers, and necessary steps were taken to quarantine them once they reached their community. So the teams used to ensure that the people are under quarantine. They marked lines around the ration shops and water taps, and that was an interesting way to maintain social distance. The token system for public distribution ration was useful at the time to control the extensive mass among, like in front of the shops. And civil supply system performed their door-to-door deliveries to stop people from going outside their houses. Community kitchens were also established. So third one is awareness, and this is where the importance of social media comes. Awareness campaigns about personal hygiene and social distancing in local languages were ensured by training local communities across protected areas. Wash basins and hand wash schemes were installed as kiosks in many points, and volunteer calls were uploaded in social networks. So here, a lot of people, like around 400 young teachers, students, political activists, like IT professionals, advocates, and many other people from many other streams came across for helping the tribals. Like they made short videos about personal hygiene and best practices regarding healthcare. These videos were like converted to tribal dialects and trained members in the community. They presented it in the community, and this created a high impact among the members. This community radio, Radio Matuli, functioning in the district of Wayanad for the past 11 years, they distributed informative content regarding safety, like personal space and health and hygiene. So the fourth one is online education. When the government of Kerala launched the online education initiative called First Bell, and it was on the 1st of June 2020, but the tribal students from different areas were unable to access and attend the classes. This is because they didn't have any facilities like television or mobile phones. So the government has been campaigning for installing television sets in general places like Anganawadis or libraries. And for that, they gave a social media call. And many people came forward with television sets and mobiles. Independent groups, virtual communities, and the individuals participated in a TV challenge, and they gave television to the tribal communities. As an extension to the online learning program initiated by government, the 6 dialects of Kerala tribals were used for presenting, and this was aired in Victor's channel. And there were developmental initiatives like the Arogya Jagrata Samiti, which constitutes a grassroots level development, and people came home for quarantine people, and then groups were formed to monitor the health of members in home in quarantine, observing and ensuring social isolation, and conducting inquiries and welfare measures. Then the traveling library was an initiative by the Forest Department, and the officials carried out around 3,000 books to tribal hamlets, and this led to the basic the basic development of tribal kids and their attitudes towards reading. Vaniga was an innovative initiative that enables the tribal to sell agriculture and forest products online. WhatsApp groups were installed, initiated, and explained with detailing the product details and all. Interested buyers could buy it through WhatsApp. And Kaitanga was a program intended to bring rice, provisions, and medicines and other necessities at the doorsteps of tribal houses. The team of 37 people reached houses. They are carrying necessary items into the village. So, concluding, basically the initiatives were not wholly from the government rules or government sector. Grassroots level development was initiated, and people came forward and worked from houses to houses, resulting in the general betterment of tribal life. So I should say that COVID-19 was a positive note for tribal, since the overall development was getting better day by day during the COVID days. And digital media usage was improved in the tribal sects, and health awareness was given more priority. And the happiest part is that COVID-19 made a huge database of people all across Kerala, like tribal students, non-tribal volunteers, doctors, social activists, and advocates. There was a coordination between these kind of people and the government officials, and this is leading to a lot of new initiatives in the tribal sector, which is a very positive note. And this is leading to the restructuring of many old programs related to health and hygiene, related to online education. And the ration systems were more prompt. Free medical camps were initiated in almost all tribal sects. And so Kerala is a tribal friendly state right now. Like major hamlets are reachable, and the tribal dialects are like easily understandable. And these things are like leading to a positive tone for tribals. Like lockdown and spread of deadly viruses, like communicating certain areas of life that remained untouched, like the tribals were like isolated from the mainstream. And so the pandemic like sparks upon the bright sphere, and like it is leading to the whole development of living standards, aspirations, growth, progress, happiness, health, and every stream of tribal life. And so with this note, I conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, Gayatri. Guys, you can quickly go back to the methodology slide.
Sure.
Yeah. So it was a qualitative analysis. Just that, was there any difference that you could find in the first wave of COVID and the second wave of COVID?
The first wave of COVID is like there were restrictions, and people were like trying to save the tribals from the outbreak of COVID, like preventive measures, protective measures. These kind of measures were taken in the first stage. And later in 2020, when it was found out that the overall developmental programs were initiated, and certain programs which were like which were initiated but not conducted, such programs were revived, and with the help of a lot of people around, the overall betterment was possible. So in the first stage, I should say that the government and the other officials just tried to prevent tribals from getting attacked by the pandemic. And in the second phase, it was like the overall betterment and a positive a tone in the overall healthcare system and ration system and education online system were found out, like were conducted.
Yeah, no, the thing is, because if you actually look at the first wave of the pandemic, the political system, the government was, it was a different government, right? With the second wave. And the media coverage also, there was a sea change in the narratives of the media. So has that been brought into the study somewhere?
No, ma'am, actually, I didn't analyze like television media mainly.
Okay.
It was all about newspapers and
yeah, even newspapers, the narrative from the newspapers, in the newspapers about the way the government handled, the crisis during the first wave and the second wave was different.
Yes.
Yeah. So that could be one of the observations, probably a sub-paper, that is one.
Okay.
And you mentioned newspapers in general. How many newspapers specifically did you cover in terms of language? That I think was missed out.
Okay, ma'am. Actually covered 3 newspapers.
3 newspapers. Okay.
It was a
what were these newspapers? What were these newspapers?
Madhubhumi, Manorama, and Deshabhimani. I covered 3 newspapers.
Okay. Fine, Gayatri. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a good presentation. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Next, Lakshmi.
Next, I invite Swarga Varghese to present her paper on fake news or misinformation and half-truths in digital media.
Hi, good morning to all. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay, let me share my screen. Visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, it's visible.
Hi, good morning to all. My name is Swarga Varghese. I'm a PhD scholar at Christ University, Bangalore. I'm basically from Wayanad. I would like to discuss some points about the fake news and misinformation and half-truths in digital media. This paper is actually, I'm going to publish in a book chapter. So I discuss about some points about that. Information is the engine of the development in the 20th century, 20th and 21st century. At present, our growing societies are based on huge flows of information and knowledge circulating around the internet, created not only by the traditional means, but by all kinds of users becoming producers, which leads to fake news and misinformation. This situation has been intensified by the pandemic to an unprecedented extent through the digital media, with a special concern among young people. This paper aims to discuss the pros and cons of the fake news and half-truths information flow through digital media.
Swarga, you'll have to directly please go to the methodology, objective methodology, and your analysis findings rather.
Okay, ma'am, actually, I didn't put the methodology in the PPT. I will, let me explain. I have met the digital expert and a qualitative method. I have speak with the digital experts and I get the detailed information. And the literature review also I would like to mention here. The introduction, digital media has become the main vehicle for accessing news and facts. We know that the information we know that digital media has the main vehicle for accessing news and facts, and the fake news on social media is an unavoidable issue. It helps to think critically towards an issue. It helps to maintain a healthy level of curiosity for what user read on our read, and understand how social media platform curate what they see and use investigative practice often. But digital media is very powerful platform. In other side, it's also acting as a source of spread of fake news and misleading information. The widespread of fake news on social media websites are impacting society negatively. Fake news is an article, news, video content containing untrue information distinguished as a credible news source. That's described as fake news. And digital era is an electronic distribution. The rapid expansion of the internet serves as the primary force driving the growth of the electronic media industry. The rapid expansion of the internet serves as the primary force driving the growth of electronic media industry. Digital media refers to the media that are encoded in machine-readable format, and the digital media is one which can be created, viewed, modified, communicated, preserved on digital electronic devices, which include software, digital videos, images, web pages, databases, digital audio, and ebooks. The digital media revolution has been further followed by the ubiquitous smartphone, such as iPhone, BlackBerry. These devices have proven to extremely popular with the physicians. October 2019, a survey of 1,200 medical information with this to physicians across 50 specialists showed that 30% of respondents routinely accessed half-used smartphone that is support open source user developed applications such as iPhones, etc. All youths have the access of iPhone, even though even today we are living in the digital society. And LPG students also have email ID. They have also Facebook account. They are also familiar to practicing this type of website technologies like that. So it's very easy to spread the fake news or misinformation through the digital aid. So it's a trust and dependency in digital media. It's a discussed thing because of so many misinformation in the contemporary high choice media environment. Trust and impact on people is taken on the importance because of media revolving around to copyright, intellectual property laws and its legality. The so-called information age aiming at the paperless society also resulted in censorship doubts, digital divide, digital dark age, in which all the media becomes outdated to the new or upgraded information system. And let us discuss about the digital media manipulation. Digital media, audio and making the manipulation of media widespread. It is not only easy to tell what is real and what is fake anymore. Photographs can be altered using editing tools such as Photoshop, something like that. Digital audio and video can be also decoded. Thus, the digital media manipulation can result in negative things, only work stress, emotional blackmail, and other possible crimes. And an impact of plagiarism and copyright and mass online media. Since the digital media is remarkable producer, there are more chances of plagiarism and copyright, thus raising the question on copyright laws. Digital media technology provide wide scope for users to hide their identities. Studies show that people are much more likely to behave antisocially if they don't think that there will be any consequences. Trolling, stalking, threatening, and insulting behavior have increased dramatically with the rise of the internet. Misinformation or fake news. The term fake news is closely associated with the politics, and this association can unhelpfully narrow the focus of the issue. The term false information is preferable as it can refer to a diverse range of disinformation covering topics such as health, environment, and economics across all platforms and channels. Fake information overload and general lack of understanding about how the internet works by people has also contributed to the increase in fake news or fake stories. Social media sites can play a big part in increasing the reach of this type of stories. Fake news is a form of intentionally spreading misinformation that is in the form of news. That's fake. Fake. Let us discuss about misinformation. Misinformation. The difference between misinformation and disinformation is that the person, depending upon the person of sharing. The previously cited study of Indiana University, misinformation is classified as false or misleading content.
Move on to the analysis part because time limit is very important.
There are so many types of false information, clickbait, propaganda, satire, sloppy journalism, misleading headings, biased, etc. For flow of misinformation, digital media is the main victim of spreading misinformation. And let us discuss about how can prevent the false information. Take a closer look, look beyond the headlines, check the other sources, check the facts, check our biases. Think about is a joke or something like that. I will discuss about the conclusion. Actually, this study finds that the proliferation of fake news is related to the complex transformation of media ecology brought about by the technology application, social media.
Yeah. Swarga, thank you so much for the presentation.
Ma'am, actually, with the time limit, I can't express my views because lots of PPTs are there. I'm going to write, I'm going to publish a book about this fake news and information. So I have so many information. So
I know. But one of the key things during a conference is we need to adhere to the time limit also. That's why I told you to cut down on the introduction, because few things are a little generic and something that are obvious. You should just get to the crux of it. Just one quick question, Swarga. It's a conceptual paper, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Not an empirical study. It's more a conceptual paper. Just that if you are looking at publication, then try and probably you should be able to bring in a few case studies or statistics which will validate your findings. That is when it becomes a little more scientific. Otherwise, it becomes like a very general, it becomes like a lecture. If you're giving a guest lecture, then it's a wonderful presentation. It's nice. But in a conference, when you're presenting it as a paper, then it should be a little more approached with scientific thought. That is one. And since you're a research scholar, this is part of your research, Swarga?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I am did the research in the online academic tool among the tribal students of Wynad, college students of Wynad. I doing the survey method. I have also another paper regarding YouTube as a tool, entertainment tool among the college students. I have that paper.
That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. But just that whenever you're making a presentation related to, whenever you're presenting a paper, related to your, research area, your PhD area, then you need to ensure you include your guide's name also. You have to acknowledge the contribution of your guide. So that's important in the beginning, in the first slide, because you said you are a research scholar, but then I did not see any guide's name there. Okay, that's fine. Okay, thank you, Swarga. Thank you so much. Lakshmi, can we move on to the next presenter?
Yes, ma'am. Next presenter was Aditi Datta, but he's not presenting. So I'm moving on to the next presenter.
Okay.
I invite Ms. Kritika Sharma to present paper on emerging gender role and hate speech representation in Indian web series OTT media content.
Hello.
Is the presenter here?
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes, you are audible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. I'll just share my screen. Just give me a moment, please.
Yeah.
I hope my screen is visible now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. A very good morning, everyone. Myself, Kritika Sharma, and I'm a research scholar from Amity University, Rajasthan. And my department is from journalism and mass communication. And for today's study of my topic is emerging gender role and hate speech representation in India, web series, OTT media content. So now I'll start with my introduction first. So as we see in the recent years, a very much increase in the availability of video and audio material via over-the-top services. And during the lockdown period, we have seen that OTT performed much better across geographies and socioeconomic categories. As presently in India, there are not only several, there are 40 OTT platforms for entertainment which broadcast the online content 24 hours and a 7 days week. As OTT services are primarily intended to be called as the potential replacement for traditional mode of communication.
Kritika,
yes, ma'am.
Can you please, reduce on the introduction and directly go to your objective and hypothesis, methodology, and your findings? Yeah, that way you will manage the time. Otherwise, you'll not be able to finish it.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. So I directly come to the objectives, and the objectives of my studies are to study the understanding of sexual hate speech depicted on Indian web series, and to investigate the gender stereotype portrayal of women in Indian web series, and also understand and investigate how violence, aggression, and hate speech are portrayed on the solenoid of web series. For this, the research methodology I adopted, as it is a quantitative and content analysis I have done this for this study, and it is a descriptive research. So I have taken 6 Indian web series which has been taken for the content analysis purpose, and they are showcased gender typical narrative and hate speech. So the random purposive sampling was done in this study. The sample size of 60 respondents has been taken, where a total number of 56 responses were received. And the questionnaire with close-ended questions was made through Google Form, which were further sent to the respondent by sharing link on Messenger, WhatsApp, and Instagram and emails. So I directly come to the analysis and interpretation. So the study based on random purposive sampling, which is clearly shows in there that the respondent age is 20 to 25 and 25 to 30 years. And when categorizing the respondent on the gender basis, it illustrates that 51% of the respondents were male. So, and 48.2% of the respondents were females. That it clearly shows that the females are equally interested in consuming online streaming content. When categorizing on the basis of occupation, it shows that 44.6% of the respondents were employees, and 33.9% of the respondents were students. So presently, half or more, we know the population consume OTT content. The above question illustrated the 80.4 respondents have OTT accounts. Only less over 17.9% of the respondents doesn't access OTT accounts. So currently, we have n numbers of OTT media platforms. So my question regarding to this is that a single person how many accounts or he's a subscriber of that. Sorry. So it shows a huge difference in the number, and also defined that the people don't want to spend separate money for all the OTT platforms as they have different subscriptions amount. For example, that 3 months, quarterly, and the annual. So the study showcased that the 73.2% of the respondents have less than 4 account subscriptions. So the respondents were typically asked about their point of opinion regarding whether Indian web series cater hateful content regarding sex, nudity, religion or racial discrimination, gender and offensive language. So in this, 62.5% of the respondents were agreed that yes, Indian web series content contains such elements. Only 37.5% of the respondents are not in the favor of it. Next to the question is, which is specifically about the new regulatory framework for OTT content by the Government of India.
Excuse me, ma'am, you have 2 minutes left.
Yeah, sure. I'll just wind up.
You can go to the final findings, ma'am, not the detailed analysis. Go to the findings, please.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So the findings of the study is, the study found that Netflix and Amazon Prime Video are the most popular OTT video streaming platform among HBO Live, Sony Live, and so others. The respondents are agreed that these Indian web series affect their spoken language pattern in daily life. The study also states that the new OTT regulatory guidelines are not much sufficient enough, and it is still need improvisation and rectifications. The study reveals that these Indian web series are using inflammatory and hated language to grab viewer attention and to commercialize their content. The respondent also agreed on a point that the culture showed by these web series are not at all fit for the Indian society. And finally, the study concludes that the culture of web series in Indian society brings so many changes in our society and also affect in person individual. This culture affects people's psychological behavior and spoken language too. The study briefed that this web series culture is somewhere unfit for the Indian youth society, and also conclusion that the web series and online streaming content heavily use hate speech in terms of abusive language, gender discrimination, and portrayal of women. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Kritika, for the presentation, a very important topic. Kritika, a few questions. You spoke about content analysis. What method, what variables did you use, and how did you do content analysis? Which series did you do content analysis?
Ma'am, I have chosen 2 parameters for this. The first one is the on the basis of presentation style of the content, that is gender differences, hate speech, sex and nudity. And the second parameter I have chosen that we have chosen only those web series for the analysis purpose, those who have higher viewership on OTT content.
Kritika, is this your PhD topic?
No, ma'am, not directly.
Okay. See, one thing, these are 2 different areas. You're doing qualitative study of content analysis, and then you're also doing the audience perspective. But I feel, it's not doing justice to both if it is not done in the right manner. Because content analysis, further, you need to break down the specific variables and the metrics in which you are analyzing the content. That also needs to be approached scientifically. It cannot be broadly, okay, portrayal, but portrayal how? What are the variables? How did you analyze? How did you quantify it? It is a qualitative study, but then how do you quantify how do you analyze the quality, the content that you have, you are seeing? In fact, 6 web series analyzing the content, that itself is a separate research paper.
Yes,
in fact, it is fit for a PhD thesis itself. It is pretty exhaustive. So you can narrow it down further. And in terms of even the quantitative analysis, when you said, there was a percentage of, respondents who did not actually, who don't subscribe to OTT platforms, then actually they don't qualify for your study at all. It is conditional. Only you're actually assessing responses from people who watch OTT, who access OTT platforms, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So you need to be a little careful about those kind of questions and those kind of responses. Another important thing is that you need to approach also with the theory. No, there was no theoretical framework for the entire.
Yes, ma'am. There was
So
no.
you can, little work on that. It's a very good topic, very interesting topic. You've done quite a bit of work. Just that, the approach needs to be a little more tweaked to make it a little more scientific, and kindly avoid passing statements like, web series culture is unfit for Indian news, because we don't really pass judgments unless it is completely scientifically validated. Yeah. So that's one observation. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can we move on?
Yes, ma'am. Next, I invite Ms. Saima Parvas to present a paper on examining social media and health communication, special reference to critical illness.
Yeah, hi, very good morning. My voice is audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Hi, ma'am. I'm so sorry. I would be a little low. I'm in hospital right now, hospitalized. But still, I would like to present my paper. So I'm sharing my screen. So my screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So a very good morning to one and all. Here I am, Saima Parvez, a PhD research scholar at MIT University, Noida. And the topic of my paper is Examining Social Media and Health Communication, special reference to critical illness. So I would just give a brief introduction. So the numbers of social media users have been multiplying at an astonishing rate in the recent years. The last 2 years have seen the additive role of social media, particularly in the domain of health communication. Health communication, in addition to the medium of social media, sprouted a multifaceted approach.
Saima, sorry to interrupt. Can you please go to the objective? You have only 5 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Just 2 minutes, I'll come down to that. I have that in mind.
Yeah.
Multifaceted approach used to reach different audiences, fulfilling their assorted needs and requirements. The objective of my paper are, this paper is a secondary review paper understanding the reach and potential of social media in the arena of health communication. This paper also expounds on the role of social media in health communication, particularly in the lives of critically ill, like cancer patients. It further draws inferences between social media and health communication, concluding its importance in the domain of healthcare. So moving on, health communication is actually bringing behavioral changes in people to adopt something new, which has always been a challenge for the establishment or any other agency. This propounds the argument of the importance of health communication in the lives of a common man. This paper throws light on the dynamic role of social media, which is constantly evolving in the health sector. Moving forward, to understand health communication, it's important to understand the concept of health plus communication. So health, as aptly said by Gandhi, health is what is the real wealth and not mere pieces of gold and silver. WHO defined health as complete well-being of physical, social, emotional states and not mere absence of any disease. As mentioned in the WHO report 2020, with the increasing life expectancy, the meaning of health is also altering for individuals. The traditional fear of living has been replaced by finding the best technique to live a healthy life. Then moving on to what is communication. I'm establishing my concepts, my conceptual framework actually by doing this, by explaining each variables of the different headings of my paper. So communication is exchange of information, could be verbal, non-verbal, symbolic, written, or any other type, whether forming depending upon my target audiences. Roots of communication reside in the basic need of people to share their feelings and emotions. So I feel the basic need of communication, it emerged when people wanted to share their emotion of any distress, feeling of pain. And that too means that it was actually health communication which they wanted to do while communicating through different mediums or different varieties, through symbols, through writing, or through speaking. So health communication defined by CDC, it defines health communication as the study we use of communication strategies to inform and influence then decisions that enhance health. So moving forward, this major function of health communication is to influence people to have behavioral changes. Hence, we can define, so this is my definition of health communication. It is a multi-layered as well as multi-dimensional discipline within the intention. Yeah, I'm just concluding. As well as multi-dimensional discipline with the intention of reaching the target audience to influence them and bring about a desired long-lasting behavioral change. It involves the common man, communities, societies, government, and private setups, as well as healthcare professionals. So I will just move on to social media. As we all know that social media is the evolving media in today's century. Social networking sites, definitions, history scholars, and everybody has been defining or the epitome of importance of social media and its usage. When we combine social media and health communication, it is of utmost importance. In current scenario, we have seen in COVID how we have communicated health with the medium of social media and its importance and its convergence and its impact on our society and the common man. So this is how the internet usage in India has increased, as we see in different years. From 2015 to 2019, this is how the internet users in India have been increasing. And so is the health communication being increased in India. So as we moved on with health communication, our Indian government also realized the importance of digital health. So here I'm talking about the digital health mission of the Indian health government, NDHM, which proves how e-health has come up and how various doctors and various health practitioners have come up on a single platform to communicate health and healthcare. So these are another statistics which prove the digital health, how the different the innovative terms of health communication have come into being and have come holistically into being, and we all have become a part of it. So critically ill, this paper looks specially for how health communication through social media for critically ill patients. For this, I have concentrated on cancer patients. Because of the load of cancer in India, I have taken this disease. In cancer, we have taken VCC, that is virtual cancer care, which talks about appropriateness, which talks about telemedicine, e-pharmacy, pharmaceuticals, etc. So I would like to conclude by saying that it is pertinent. It is pertinent to provide an outlet to promote translational health communication, effective data dissemination in ways that allow users not only to adopt and get knowledge, but create knowledge and share it as well. Social media is one such platform that provides greater reach, diminishes the boundaries, provides effective health communication with greater efficiency and lower costs for the common man. As with other technological innovations in healthcare, these efficiencies may be viewed by those providing funding as an opportunity to decrease budgets, increase the scope of health promotion activity delivered by health education specialists and their organizers, as quoted by Barrett KP. So here I rest my case. Thank you so much for being a patient listener. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Saima. To start with, a big shout out for the spirit with which you have presented, despite you not being well. I just hope your health gets better soon and you will recover and you'll do more, academic and other work as well. Coming to the paper, Simon, just a quick question. Is this a working paper?
Ma'am, this is a secondary review paper.
Okay. No, but this is part of your research paper?
No, ma'am. My thesis topic is a part, healthcare communication is a part of my thesis. So yes, ma'am, you can say that yes, it is a part of my.
Okay. Fair enough. All the best, Saima.
Thank you so
All the
much,
best.
ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for
much.
being so patient. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Lakshmi, next.
Now I invite Abin Joseph Thomas to present paper on a study on how Department of Homeopathy, Government of Kerala shared awareness about COVID-19 preventive homeopathy medicine, Arsenicum album 30, through social media and strategies used for prevention and management.
Hello, good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Can you see my paper presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you. Good morning, all. Good morning, madam. My paper is about a study on how Department of Homeopathy, Government of Kerala shared awareness about COVID-19 preventive homeopathy medicine, Arsenicum album 30, through social media and strategies used for prevention and management. My name is Abin Joseph Thomas. I'm a research scholar in Madurai Kamaraj University. So getting into straight to my objectives. The objectives are to find out how the Department of Homeopathy and Health and Family Welfare, the Department of Kerala government shared awareness about COVID-19 preventive homeopathy medicine, Arsenicum album 30, through official websites and social media platforms such as Facebook and Instagram. Along with this, the paper is a research on what all action plans are taken for prevention and management of COVID-19 using homeopathy strategies. So my methodology is the study was conducted by researching and collecting information from Health and Family Welfare Department of Kerala, Homeopathy Department of Kerala, and government social media pages like pages of Homeopathy Department, National Health Mission, and Ayush departments, and pages of district collectors. Data analysis details were collected from government health departments and findings from newspaper, government orders, government social media pages. So data analysis and findings. The health government use social media pages, especially Facebook, for creating awareness among public on HIB, homeopathic immune booster, and they are using social media platforms till recent for registration of school students' names on online portal for distributing Arsenicum album 30 as homeopathy immune booster. Some of their social media posts are the following, stating for some schools students online registration for distributing Arsenicum album 30. The images are moved to the last slide of my presentation. I'm getting straight into the data analysis part. Strategies for the prevention and management of COVID-19 in Kerala through homeopathy. Kerala government has set the first component as strategy details. The measures taken are situation analysis by high power committee, rapid action, epidemic control cell homeopathy. The short form is RAGE. The state level monitoring by state level expert group, select and RAGE. District level monitoring, district level expert group, DELEC and RAGE. Equipping special team, including medical and paramedical workers in districts and in homeopathic medical colleges. The responsible authorities assigned as the Department of Ayush, Department of Homeopathy, Principal and Controlling Officer PCO, and National Ayush Mission. The second component is setting up of communication platform. Details. The establishment of a state level official communication network for the effective execution of the recommended framework within and among the various levels of framework, various conferencing platforms, and others. The responsible authorities are National Ayush Mission. The third component is establishing necessary linkages. Details urgent intimation and integration of the newly formed organizational framework with the public health mechanism of the state and the relevant components of LSGD institutions for smooth running of the same. The responsible authority assigns first the Department of Ayush. The fourth component is preparedness and readiness. The imparting training, awareness, and sensitization of essential components for the special team, medical and paramedical staff, training through virtual online platforms. The details are ensuring support and coordination with local public health mechanisms and LSGD institutions. The responsible authorities were Department of Homeopathy, Principal and Controlling Officer PCO, and National Ayush Mission. The Kerala government sanctioned the project of rapid action epidemic control cell homeopathy. All epidemic control missions are being initiated, monitored, and controlled under supervision of RAGE by distributing preventive medicines, conducting medical camps, health awareness programs, and seminars throughout the state, wherever epidemics break out. District level DLEG can forward suggestions upon which SLEC can make decisions on the homeopathic immune booster. Homeopathic immune booster will be supplied free of cost to the target population through government homeopathic institutions under the supervision of district medical officers, Homeo Department, district program managers, National Ayush Mission, and DLEP. An efficiency study was conducted on HIB for data formulation and analysis as per the norms of ICMR, Department of Homeopathy, National Homeopathic Research Institute in the Mental Health, Government of India, and Principal and Controlling Officer. The Homeopathy Department has been implementing many programs to address various health issues to maintain a better health standard for all strategies in the society and mold a healthy community during the pandemic. The Homeopathy Department has been implementing many programs. Public can use the peripheral institutions to have primary source of entire specialty units, or can also have telephonic consultation. With the limited public transport and other conveyance facilities, department focused to give more importance to the pain and palliative care and generic care programs. Districts have already developed mechanisms for home delivery of medicines for the needy. There are various programs the government has been formed for distributing the homeopathic immune booster. Sadgamaya is a program which is a department which specializes in adolescent healthcare and behavioral management program. Sidalayam is specialized in women healthcare center. Punarjani is specialized in de-addiction treatments. Chedana is specialized in pain and palliative care and geriatric. Ayushman Bhava, Ayush Holistic Center for Prevention and Management of lifestyle diseases. Janani is specialized for mother and child care. Nisarga is specialized for specialty clinic for transgender. Other specialty clinic being functional for various other health issues, and also for the distribution of homeopathic immune booster. And these are some of the social media posts that Department of Homeopathy has been posted in the social media pages and official websites for the distribution of homeopathy immune booster, RSALP 30. My conclusion is social media platforms, official websites, and newspapers columns were used as the main platforms for passing over information regarding COVID-19. All these platforms played a vital role in spreading awareness regarding generic precautions and other measures to be taken by the public to overcome the pandemic. Public were new to the pandemic scenario and were unaware regarding safety measures. Upon that, other consequences like lockdown and quarantine made the situations more complicated. Even in such as adverse stages, the utilization of social media platforms made it very easy and effective in spreading awareness to each and every person. So thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the presentation. Sir, can you please go back to your methodology slide?
Yeah, madam.
Yeah. So what exactly was the method that you used?
Madam, I had talked with various doctors in the Department of Homeopathy to know what all measures are taken for while the outbreak was happening, and how the HIB homeopathic immune booster RSALP 30 has been distributed among the public, and how the measures are being taken by the department for easy disposal of the HIB medicine. So
yeah.
The
so
social
I
media.
mean, in the sense, what was the method, research method that you followed? In the sense, yeah, I understand. But did you administer a questionnaire? What was the instrument of data collection that you used? Was it a questionnaire, or was it interview?
It was an interview, madam. It was an
interview. And the interviews, were they? Did you do thematic analysis, or how did you decode the interviews, sir?
I asked them the questions, what all measures were taken, and how
was it a standardized interview?
Yeah, madam. Yeah, madam.
Okay. And were all the responses codified?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. And I have mentioned that in small points in my presentation and in my research paper. Okay, and how the different departments are.
Actually, that is a very important thing, because the topic that you are working on is an extremely important one. You know, yes, it's a very interesting area, and it's a wonderful study. Okay. Just that I think, the approach should be a little more scientific, including the methods of your research, and instruments of data collection, instrument of analysis, the tools of analysis, And since it's a quantitative study, it is a quantitative study, right?
Yeah, madam. Yeah, madam.
And I could not see any hypothesis. Had you constructed any hypothesis, sir?
Ma'am, my intention was to know what all measures have the department has been taken.
Completely agree, sir. I completely agree with your objective. It's very good. But, you know, how you reach that, see, what you've done is a very interesting one. It is more like an article. But if you were to, it's more like a report or a feature story, fair enough. But if it's a research paper, if you're looking at publishing this in a reputed journal, then they would definitely look for scientific approaches in the methodology and in the analysis. Probably if it is quantitative data, then definitely, you know, you need to see what software tool you would use. You have to construct hypothesis, research questions, and then you have to test the hypothesis. So, you know, it kind of needs to follow a little more scientific approach. That's one observation. Otherwise, it's a very interesting study. So it can be developed into further, you know, making it a little more complicated. I can see you have a lot of data, I'm sure. Just that during analysis stage, you could probably take some external help, a statistician's help, to see how you can, you know, approach it, how you can collate and present it in a scientific manner.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am. Now I invite R. Trifina to present paper on communication of sustainable clothing content on social media, an Indian perspective.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ma'am, I'm unable to share my screen. Okay, 1 minute.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah, now we can see.
1 minute, ma'am. Okay. Good afternoon again. My topic, as I said, was communicating sustainable clothing content on social media, an Indian perspective. I'm a research scholar at the Department of Media Sciences, Anna University, Chennai. And this is along with my PhD supervisor, Dr. I. Arularam, Professor and Head, Department of Media Sciences, Anna University. So sustainable development has become a watchword in many mainstream discourses, especially concerning areas that include production and consumption cycles. So the proliferation of social networks and user-generated content has opened up avenues to identify and understand patterns of communication that happens through sharing, commenting, and liking on social media platforms. So directly going to the need for the study, India is increasingly a focal point for fashion industry, reflecting a rapidly growing middle class and an increasingly powerful manufacturing sector. India is potentially a huge hub for ethical fashion, being one of the few countries where traditional techniques of dyeing, weaving, stitching, and embroidery are still prevalent. One post-consumer apparel study, based in India, found that majority of the respondents preferred to bought new clothes every month, and many of them own more than 45 pieces of clothing in their wardrobe, and more than half the respondents prefer to discard their clothes that they did not use. So the study brings out the problems of unsustainable textile practices by both Indian industries and the individual consumers to the forefront, vis-a-vis what is done on social media to create awareness among individuals on the drawbacks and the socio-economic benefits of making sustainable clothing choices. And why this was essential? It was essential to study frames through which the stakeholders of sustainable clothing communicated on social media. The methodology, the study was exploratory in nature and adapts both quantitative and qualitative methods. 250 Facebook posts related to sustainable or eco-friendly clothing and textiles in the Indian context were searched using keywords, and they were categorized under 5 divisions based on the types of stakeholders who had posted them, such as news media, designers, retailers, manufacturers, social activists, and consumers. Every post was then coded for its most prominent frame. Although several posts came under many frames, the most prominent frame was coded. And it was also segregated under different stakeholders. The Facebook posts were then the Facebook posts were collected from public forums, so there was no issue of privacy. So all the posts were collected between the time period from January 2018 to June 2021. The frames that I selected for my were environmental frames adapted from Prem Nambiar's case study on the analysis of Indian English language press. I will just quickly run through all the 10 frames. Concern for welfare of the marginalized, which highlights problems of those belonging to the underprivileged sections of the society. Activism frame, which focuses on the sub-frames such as personal opinion, judgment, portrayal of issues, and then morality frame, which is responsibilities of those in positions of authority. Exemplary practice frame, which depicts best practices by stakeholders that includes governments, non-governmental organizations, public sector enterprises, etc. Local evidence frame, which interviews or reports, highlights knowledge, experiences of experts of local administrative officers, making references to ancient religious codes as well as local experience to make sustainability issues contextual, familiar, resonant, and noteworthy. Human interest frame, which has individual narratives of experiences through anecdotes of various experiences in the larger context of social issues of current relevance. Personal accounts and stories that are key features include in this frame. Then empowerment frame, stories that are identified for their worth as means of empowerment for groups that are concerned through timely and adequate sharing of latest information are relevant to this frame. Changing paradigms, a frame which is said to be suitable in the coverage of environment and sustainability concerns. Expert opinion frame, which comprises stories or posts that reflect expertise of professionals relevant to a subject of problem and cities, or reports knowledge and acumen. And the last was lifestyle change and personal responsibility frame, which includes personal accounts of creators or writers of the post, reflects specific lines of thinking, etc. So then going to the results and discussion.
Excuse me, ma'am, you have 2 minutes left.
Sure. I'll just change to slide share. Okay. In the results, one particular frame was prominent in under each of the stakeholders, which is highlighted in this one. So under consumers, it was human interest. Under news articles, it was exemplary practice. Under designers, it was expert opinion. Under manufacturers, it was changing paradigms. Under social activities, it was local evidence. And local evidence and human interest were, the highest among all the frames. I'll go to one particular post under each of the 5 stakeholders. So under consumers, it was human interest that was the highest frame. So this is one post that was shared on a group called Sustainable Living and Learning Chennai. So here there's a person, who's advocating for a person who's selling, who's going door by door collecting clothes for say 10 rupees a pant, 3 rupees old saris are 10 rupees, pants are 3 rupees, and shirts are 2 rupees, etc. So my paper was more of a discursive. So each of these posts was most of a discursive, writing on the paper. So there were more of posts, such as sewing of face masks, narratives of, DIYs, making good use of upcycling clothes, especially during the lockdown. So most of the consumers who are the largest stakeholders of sustainable fashion or clothing, human interest frame was the most prominent among them. And the news article frame, among news articles, exemplary practice. So exemplary practice, one example was the Better India had featured Lakshmi Menon, an innovator who had upcycled scrap collected from PPE kits, and she had converted them into low-cost bedrolls for COVID centers. So, portraying people for their exemplary practice, these were more seen frequently among news articles posted on social media. Then the designers. Among designers, expert opinion was the most prominent frame. So designers being, the generators of the fashion and clothing, they tend to give advice, especially in this particular post. Anaka Narayanan, who's a self-made fashion designer, she had, talked about why Indian fashion cannot measure up to Western fashion, and how we should not ask or look for fast fashion repeatedly, because we will have to, enjoy and make do with this one available in India. And manufacturers and retailers, in manufacturers and retailers, you could see the shift from most of the people or manufacturers who claim to be sustainable and slow fashion brands. They had, so changing paradigms was the most prominent frame. In this particular post, actually, it said functionality and fit. There is room for change. This particular post was a short video which said you can even rescale or resize your clothing. So there's always room for, upscaling your clothes and reusing your clothes, which is more important in sustainable clothing. And the last was social activist. So one particular post that stood out was Vidya Balan's promotion of Shakuntala Devi movie. And in this particular, so under social activists, local evidence was the most prominent frame. So here you could see hashtags like vocal for local, buy local, all these kind of, hashtags and highlights. And so here she's promoting a sari which she says is from West Bengal. It's hand spun, it's indigenous, weaving community. So these are the kind of frames that was prominent and among social activists. So yeah, I finished my presentation here. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Trifni. It was a very good paper, I must say. Very nice, interesting study. And the frames that you constructed and the method that you adopted was really scientific and good. Just one question, to kind of 250 Facebook posts for your sample.
Yes.
How many did you have to, discard? What was your larger sample, and then I'm sure you would have narrowed it down, right?
Yes, I had searched for, all the keywords such as slow fashion, sustainable clothing, Indian textiles, all those. But of course, I had to, pick only that could fall under these stakeholders. And there were a problem of post under consumers being very personal, so I cannot, take them for my study due to privacy issues. So I had to discard many, actually. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's because I know the study on social media, though it sounds very fancy and interesting, I know it's extremely laborious, because there is a misconception going out on field is difficult, whereas you sit in front of a computer and work on get data from social media. It's easy, but it is not. On the contrary, It is extremely difficult to sift the data. To get the usable data is extremely challenging. Yeah, it's a good paper. I must commend it. It's a good paper. This is part of your research paper thesis.
Yes, ma'am. It is part of my paper.
And I hope you've defined the terms sustainable and sustainable.
Yes,
food,
yes.
What
in the paper I have. Yes.
In the paper, I'm sure you would have done.
Yes.
Fair enough. Thank you so much, Trifni.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Moving on, Lakshmi.
Yes, ma'am. Now I invite Devjani Chakraborty to present his paper on communicating gender equality, an analysis of SDG 5 post on Instagram.
Yeah, hi, good morning. Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, hi. Yeah, hi, good morning to one and all present here. And I am Devjani Chakraborty, and I'm a research scholar with the Department of Mass Communication and Media Studies at Central University of Punjab. And my paper that I'm presenting on is Communicating Gender Equality and Analysis of hashtag SDG5 posts on Instagram. So the idea is behind the term gender equality is the fifth sustainable development goal defined by the United Nations is gender equality. So I wanted to take a look at the platform of Instagram and how the discourse on the fifth sustainable development goal around the hashtag SDG5 is on Instagram. So basically, as we all know, Instagram has a user base of around 180 million monthly active users in India alone, and it has 3.2 billion global monthly account users. So I wanted to see, this is more of an exploratory research into how the discourse around hashtag SDG5 is going on. And I'm not in the research, I will be only focusing on organization based accounts and not individual accounts. So a little bit about the Sustainable Development Goals. It's basically a shared global agenda for human development based on prosperity, social inclusion, and environmental sustainability. So the UN has defined 17 different goals that the world is supposed to attain by 2030 for a better future for us, a better future for the future generations. And a lot of nations have signed on, around 198 of them, and India is one of them. The Niti Aayog is working towards meeting all the different targets
Excuse
there
me,
are for global.
Debjani,
Yes, sir.
are you changing the slides? We can only
Yes, I
see.
am. Can I see it? Can you see it?
No, we cannot see.
Abhi,
Yeah,
is it
now we can
visible
see.
now?
Yeah,
Okay, okay. I guess so.
thank you.
Okay, so the fifth SDG is gender equality. So basically, what I am looking at is the UN's definition of gender equality. I'm not going into the debate of what gender is and what gender equality is. They have defined it as a fundamental human right and foundation for peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable world. And they have used the term women and girls to give access to equal education, healthcare, decent work, and representation, political, economic decision making. So basically, it's a goal that has been defined for all the countries in the world, and it has been given 9 different targets. These targets are multifaceted, that how a woman should have economic rights, how they should be able to have affordances of the technology around them, how there should be no discrimination based on their sex, and then again, of course, the economic power and social power and respect for the unpaid work that they do, and so on and so forth. These are 9 different targets. So the objective of the research was exploring what kind of discourse is going on Instagram. Instagram is this image and video sharing app with a huge base of young users, and we are getting new data about how Instagram is localizing itself, and then it is diversifying into small businesses, it is diversifying into video content now. And so I wanted to see what the platform of young users is actually doing about the fifth sustainable development goal, that is gender equality. So basically what I did for this research was develop targets, talk about the targets. There are 9 different targets, and the literature is long, so I have given them labels. Like, for example, target number 4, social empowerment. It will be eliminating recognize and value unpaid care and domestic work through the provision of public services, and so on and so forth. All the 9 of them have been coded. So my methodology is, basically what I did was I took an open source API, and API is basically a Python program, and I scraped 200 posts at a time, because Instagram allows only 200 posts to be scraped per hour. So I sat down and I took out 5,000 posts. These were all automatically the Instagram API, the API access Instagram sports post, and 5,000 posts were accessed at front. And then I sifted through them, and non-English captions were removed, individual accounts were removed, and the sample size was taken at 95% confidence level. I took up 189 posts for coding. So the coding was generally basically content analysis and the content analysis had just one label that I was using. The coding was what targets they are linked to. Basically, I was looking at the post, the caption, and the image, and I coded them according to the 9 targets that are defined by the UN. So the idea was what target
Excuse me,
the
ma'am.
discourse and the
You
discourse
have
on
2
the
minutes
online
left.
platforms. What are the people talking about on Instagram? right? So my findings is very interesting. Hello.
Ma'am, you have 2 minutes left.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the idea was this, and the highest number of posts were about target number 5, that is promotion of leadership. So the discourse was around how women should be leading the world and how women have led the world or in the future are leading the world right now. It could be companies, it could be countries, it could be small initiatives. Leadership, the post that talk of female leadership, women leadership at the highest with 59 out of 189 posts focusing on them. And the lower end of the target was ending violence, ending social discrimination. These topics and the social empowerment topics were talked about less. Target 1 and target 9, ending of violence, and advocacy and policy posts were also high. 26 posts were attributed to each of them, right? And then again, if we look at the likes, comments, and format of the content, so likes, the highest number of likes were again taken up by promoting leadership, and the highest number of comments were again promoting leadership and sexual and reproductive health and end of discrimination. So my study, so in conclusion, what happens is what I found was the discourse is focusing on how women should be leading the world, how women should be at the top, how they should be having access to sexual and reproductive health, but nobody is talking about the root causes that socially empowering them, acknowledging that their work should be paid and discrimination against them should end and violence against them should be ended. The ending of social evils is talking about FGM and child marriage, right? These targets are not talked about. So the Instagram discourse right now is focusing on glorification of women leaders and creating of a narrative where women are empowered, but they're not talking about the targets which will actually empower the women. And this is in actually sync with the UN Global Goals progress reports, right? That is happening in real world too, that people are talking about female leadership, but the discourse is not, the work or done in the ground level on empowering women is a little behind. So the future discourses actually the future researchers will actually focus on further content analysis, the semiotic analysis of the post, and maybe come out with more things. And I also found that the photo posts are doing better than video posts in my research. So that's all about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Debjani, oh, sorry, you stopped the...
Yeah, I'll share it again. Let's hold on for one second. Yes, ma'am.
Can you please go back to your methodology page?
Yes, ma'am.
Before this, sorry, objective page, I guess. The slide before this, I guess.
This one?
No, these are the targets, right?
This one.
Yeah, the objective. So basically, the objective is to explore the kind of posts that are available, and you coded it. So my worry was you did not analyze the specific post, right?
No, ma'am. I analyzed the specific post according. I did target linkages.
Okay.
The only code label that I was using was what is the target linkage. I haven't gone further into that. I'm just the only target. The code I was using was what target it is linked to. Nothing further.
Okay. So further, as you said, of course, I know you mentioned that as limitation now, where you have not really gone into the content, the qualitative analysis of the study, but probably that will validate, that will add a little more validity to what you have done as quantified data. Because a study like this, can adopt mixed research method where you're trying to add a little more, because I'm sure this is your PhD thesis, right?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, this is a part of the initial secondary data that I am collecting as on the.
So I'm sure you would be doing content analysis as well.
Definitely, ma'am.
Yes. And then I'm sure it will be a wonderful study. Yeah, it's really nice. I must appreciate the vibrant presentation that you had, and of course, definitely the data also that you presented, the information that you presented, the paper itself has come out really well. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I invite Naziz Kundro to present paper on social media as enablers for social change, viewing public health, participation of citizenry, user reception through Twitter, perception about COVID-19 vaccination using AI.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me share my screen first. So hi everyone, I am Majid Kondru from Department of Computer Science, Islamic University of Science and Technology, Jammu and Kashmir. My co-authors for this study are Dr. Monisa Kari, who is also a senior assistant professor at Department of Journalism, Mass Communication, and Dr. Muzfar Rasulbat. So the study that that I am going to present today is social media as enablers for social change, viewing public health, participation of citizenry, user reception through Twitter perception about COVID-19 vaccination using artificial intelligence techniques. So let us have a brief introduction about this problem. As we are aware that since 2019 we are facing against COVID-19 pandemic. So far 4.55 million people have died because of the pandemic. And as human beings, we often took social media and post some things or our views regarding any social event on social media platforms. Twitter is one such social media platform among them, as Twitter has 206 million active internet users and more than 500 million tweets are made every day. So this made this huge amount of data made Twitter a gold mine of data. So as vaccination, we can say that vaccination is one of the safest ways to halt any epidemic and pandemic outbreak. So in the late 2020, after the WHO approval, all countries started their vaccination drives, and social media users have heavily expressed their views regarding vaccination on social media platforms like Twitter. So there is a huge amount of data flowing on social media regarding COVID-19 vaccination and COVID-19 in general. So this huge amount of data paved a way for machine intervention to analyze this huge amount of data. So in this study, what we are doing, we are using data from Twitter and using artificial intelligence techniques like topic modeling and sentiment analysis to analyze that amount of data regarding COVID-19 vaccination. So let's review and here is our methodology. As from the right side of the screen depicting from the image, we can say this depicts the whole of our methodology. So what we have done is we have used Twitter APIs to search for Twitter data regarding COVID-19 vaccinations. About 15.5k tweets were downloaded from the Twitter API, and then the necessary data pre-processing was done on that amount of data. And after the pre-processing was done, two prominent machine learning techniques like topic modeling and sentiment analysis were used to analyze that amount of data. So sentiment in general, we can say the sentiment analysis helps us to understand how social media users have expressed their concern or views about COVID-19 vaccinations and what kind of sentiments were mostly expressed in tweets by Twitter users. And topic modeling also helps us to understand what are the latent or hidden themes associated with this amount of tweets. So here are some of our results. And this is the result which come from topic modeling. It is actually a word cloud of the whole corpus. Word cloud is a visual representation of the whole corpus, while the font of each word is directly proportional to the importance of that word in the whole corpus. So here we can say that there are words like vaccinated, COVID-19, and vaccinated. These are having bold fonts. So these fonts signify the relative importance of the words in our corpus, the data we collected. So here are some interesting results from the sentiment analysis portion. So from the sentiment analysis, we came to know that 47.92% of the tweets that were regarding COVID-19 vaccination were actually neutral. Then followed by positive tweets, 27.13%, and we obtained the least number of negative tweets, that is 24.95%. So in conclusion, in our study, we concluded that topics like vaccination and safety, mandate about COVID-19 vaccination and government spread of COVID-19 COVID vaccination, and statistics about vaccinations were mostly discussed in Twitter, and the perception of these tweets was generally neutral. It is interesting to note that people express at least negative sentiments, which does indicate that there has been a less concern and involvement on other parts of the people about the disease. The expression of positive sentiments also may indicate that people have been mostly supportive of other positive engagements happening simultaneously, which were for cheering each other, supporting vaccination drivers, and sharing government initiatives. And hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I thought you had another slide and I was waiting.
No.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Actually,
Thank you for, yeah, tell me, sir.
Yeah, actually, I drilled down this presentation to major time frame of 5 to 7 minutes.
Yes, yes. You're right. Missed it in in time, and that's nice. You managed it cleverly. Fair enough. So just a couple of questions. What is a theoretical framework that you've used for the study? Not sure if we covered.
Yeah, so our main objective was to analyze what are the usually the social media perceptions of the users, and we have used two prominent techniques which come under the broad domain of artificial intelligence, that is topic modeling and sentiment analysis.
Okay. But the theoretical approach?
Sorry, I am not able to understand that.
Okay, no, I mean, in the sense, the theoretical framework based on which you're approaching this, probably you can infuse that, just that component that gives a little more validity, a little more solid grounding for the study. That's just one thing, but otherwise your method, you mostly used artificial intelligence to try and source the data and clean the data. Wonderful. And the analysis part, I'm sure this is again a part of a bigger paper, right? I mean, the big thesis.
Yeah, no, it is not a part of thesis, but it is a part of a paper, of course.
Okay, okay. Just a conclusion point. Can you please go back to the concluding points?
Yes.
Sir, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
This slide?
No, the previous. Yeah, no, the previous slide.
This one?
No, the previous slide, the conclusion slide. Yeah, correct. The next
one?
slide, next slide, next before the thank you slide.
Okay.
No, just
so
the
this
gist of your findings. The gist of your findings.
This one, I believe you are talking about.
Yes. So what is the gist of the conclusion? I was trying to understand how you have concluded the paper.
Yeah, we concluded the paper that our main motive was to analyze the sentimentals. So we concluded the paper with the thing that the user perception regarding COVID-19 vaccination was mainly neutral. And after that, second portion comes, they were expressing positive sentiments, and the Twitter users were least negative about the COVID vaccinations and vaccination drivers.
And what was the time frame that you have chosen, sir, to kind of analyze the data?
Yeah, we took a time slide of time frame of 23rd to 30th October of 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then in that case, because by October, if you actually look at the area, did you go by any specific demography?
No, it is worldwide.
It's worldwide. Okay, because this is towards the end of the almost October. We have majority of them have covered, the vaccination has covered. So I was just wondering that the actual sentiment analysis probably might be different in the month of October, and I'm sure it would be different in the month of maybe January or February early this year.
Yeah, of course.
When the vaccination was released, right? And probably soon after the second wave, or rather during the second wave, I must say, when there was actually a rush. So I'm sure if this 3 periods of time, the data that you have is wonderful, extremely important and significant data. With that, if you can actually compare, I'm talking about developing it in the second phase. If you can compare those two data sets, I am sure you'll get a see difference for you to analyze, because the way sentiments have changed from that time, when vaccination was introduced or rather was released for public distribution, and then the second wave, there is a change, right? So
of course.
I have a feeling, because this was towards the end, right? The end stages when majority were vaccinated. So I have a feeling the sentiment analysis might have been a little skewed.
Okay.
Sentiments might be a little skewed. That's what I feel. So probably to make it a little more, concrete, you could have maybe taken a different time frame also to compare if there was any change.
Okay, fine. Thank you for your
Was there any, was there
session.
any significant reason why you chose only that time period, sir?
Yeah, actually, there is a limitation in the Twitter API that gives data of only the past week. We can't go beyond the past week. That is why I was limited to that frame.
Okay. Fair enough. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. But then
okay, thank you for your
thing, right? Understood what I was hinting at. If you
I know. It is actually, you are hinting at what we call as temporal sentiment analysis.
Exactly.
How the sentiment analysis changes over the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. We will work on that.
Situations with the socio-economic conditions, socio-political conditions, how things change. That's a very interesting variable that can be considered. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am. Now I invite Neville Pradeep D'Souza to present paper on augmented reality, uses in teaching science concept from a teacher's perspective.
Hello, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll take a second to share my screen. Please, can you please one of you confirm if it's visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
So myself, Neville Pradeep D'Souza, I'm a research scholar from Jain University. Also, I'm assistant professor from St. Joseph's College, Bangalore. This is a study what I have done part of my PhD thesis, augmented reality uses in teaching science concept from a teacher perspective. So first, I would like to introduce what is the topic, what is the definition for augmented reality. Augmented reality, the term coined in 1922, it means bringing elements of the virtual world to the real world. AR blends the information on the real world surface. If I give an example, Pokemon Go, that is a game where everyone was playing this game to get entertained. For this, like AR application can be implied by using smartphones, computers, and tablets through application. We can use this data. Also, another example, what we have is like marker augmented reality. What we do is a barcode scanning. That could be one of the example here. So technology, when talking about technology, the one of the core important concept what we use in technology for the communication purpose. And the internet enables this technology to distribute information globally. So here, the main goal of these computer networks or the internet in the education sector is to share and transmit information to a larger number of individuals over a great distance in a short amount of time. So teachers utilize computer to demonstrate real-time dynamic process. Teachers use computer to create an educational content so that it could be reached to the larger group of people. So in India, if you take about education, in ancient time, we had a Gurukula system, like Guru and Shishya. The Shishya will go to Guru and the Guru will teach science, literature, philosophy, as well as household concept. The students get all the knowledge and is to come out from it. So now, at present, the new education policy is also kind of concentrating on a larger emphasis is given for the extracurricular activity. Professional development, reading, and also using technology to communicate, or like we are moving towards the digitalization concept. For my study, I have taken technology adoption model by Davis 1989, mostly wide use theories of technology acceptance. The two important factors this theory is concentrating on usefulness and easy of use. Usefulness and easy of use of technology. For the purpose of my study here, whether the teachers adopt augmented reality technology in the classroom to teach concept or using to communicate a larger group of people. So also the self-efficiency theory by Albert Bandura, 1977, according to the theory, it is a personal ability to perform a task is determined by a personal judgment or a set of beliefs. So here I'm using a TAM model as well as self-efficiency theory here to understand what is the individual teacher perception of using this particular technology. The previously few studies are done like the student perception of using technology. But when coming to the education, we need to give important, that is the gap here, which I'm trying to fill in my study. What does teacher feel? Because teacher is the one who have a qualification on the subject and use the technology to communicate a concept. So individual perception is very important here. And that is what I have pointing out the using the technology and how they're going to create the content with this particular technology. So the methodology, what I used here, like the case study is kind of a field work or the regular feature which is used in the case study. The qualitative researcher observed the subject of interest while it is happening. And also the participatory research means like participating with a group of people and trying to understand their perception and about the situation over there. So here, being a researcher, I worked for 15 days to train the teachers, right? Train the teacher, introduce the technologies and helping them to generate the educational content by using the augmented reality software, by using open sources. And the study was conducted, right? Like with the reference of TAM model as well as self-efficiency theory. So the data was gathering using questionnaires, like for the TAM model, like the Likert scale which was used with a 5 option from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And also the interview part was taken here to understand individual teachers' opinion. So 3 phases were involved in determining the teacher perceptions. Phase 1 is involving introducing teachers about the technology, because what I found that in the study, teachers were not aware about this particular technology. So I need to give a training to them. What is the technology with the examples? Phase 2, teacher receiving the training and how to use. So the technology was introduced and I trained them how to create the content. And phase 3, teacher used the software, they used the application to create their class content. And about the study, like that is what is done and analysis. The study conducted in Bangalore, Dakshina Kannada, Karnataka, India. Like I have, for my study, I have taken 6 full-time teachers from one particular university, pre-university. Out of this, like 3 have 6 to 10 years of experience and 11 to 15 years of experience, because it's an important factor for me because of the age group. Like also looking at digital divide here, the age group who is using the technology or their awareness about the technology. So the analysis part, like general instruction was given about the technology, how it is works, the different types and all that. And teachers, after the introduction, after giving the training, the teachers were confident in their ability to use AR technology. And they got confident and they said that this could be used because many teachers were familiar how to use like using smartphone, or due to pandemic, many teachers were adopted online teaching, and it was not very hard for them to adjust with this, and it was slightly easy for them to get the concept. And 2 instructors disagree with the statement that teachers should spend more time on creating content, and 2 were neutral, and remaining teachers were agreed with the statement. Also, teachers who had used technology agreed that it would be increase the quality of instruction, And with the discussion part, with the interview part, like individual, I have taken here group discussion. The teacher were unfavorable with the opinion that student pay less attention because using the animation and graphic content here. And a few biology teachers, they said that it's quite difficult for them to explain concept because they have to sketch the models on the board and they'll consume at least 15 to 20 minutes. Where using this technology, they can save the time and they could give more information on the topic. Not only that, they can send this information to the students so that they can use as a revision, so that they have a good source or data of their copyrighted content. So it touched to convey all relevant information in a short period of time. And overall, the teachers were enthused and they've got new experience and eagerly waiting to use the AR application to produce the content. Initially, it was a little challenging, but they have used it at present. They have used the technology to conduct the science concept. In a conclusion, that I have found that with my small group of my small study here, that like AI technology is suitable for creating educational content, and it is technology is helping them to save the teacher's time, and also, as the theory says, like usefulness. What we can find out here, it is useful to create the content, and at the same time it's useful to share with the student, and it's easy to use because of a lot of the presets and the contents available on the internet. Many diagrams, the models are available related to the science topic, which can be borrowed here for free of cost, and it could be used to create the content and to demonstrate to the teacher. The only requirement is like required a little training to use this technology. In limitation of my study, if I look at this, was done as a pilot study using a one institution professor as the focus, and it is a small sample size because 6 teachers, and the study was conducted. But I took a lot of time because this technology, there is no content, it needs to be created. Training has to be given to them. So I spent 15 days with them to give training and completely participate with them. So my further study, what I'm doing with other universities, like in the same geography area, I'm reaching to them and I'm giving the training and collecting their information for my thesis. This is a limitation of the study. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neville. A very technology-driven topic, because I'm sure that it's pretty complicated to get into augmented reality and then see the benefits of it, how it is used in teaching. Fair enough. Just that, Neville, I'm trying to understand, is your target schools or colleges or universities? What is
it's
your
pre-university colleges I'm taking now, 11 to 12 standard.
11th to 12th, because you had mentioned university somewhere. That is why you need to be a little, and that's why I just wanted to check. And also, you have restricted it to science.
Yes, science concept. Yes.
So are you
for this study, I have restricted for the science.
Okay. So is it going to be an intervention model that you're applying?
Yeah, this is the study could be applied in any sector, any department.
No, in the sense, say, are you going to do only a questionnaire method where you're understanding if augmented reality is used, or are you going to do an experimental, study where you're analyzing students understanding the concepts before the technology and then after technology intervention?
Correct. Yes.
Right?
For my actual study is a pre and post test method, like where I am understanding the student perspective also. Only for the presentation for this paper, I am focusing only on teacher perspective.
Yeah. So that you call it intervention.
Experimental study.
Yeah, yes, experimental intervention. And I feel, probably a theoretical approach, you need to bring in a little more theory, other theories also related to intervention model and social change. So see if that can be, brought in and worked on it so that, it gives a little more theoretical solid framework. Otherwise,
Okay.
it's a good one. I understand it's a working paper and it's a pilot study, and it's a good one. Just that I think the teachers there are two perspectives. You're looking at it from the teacher's perspective, right? But what
Yes.
about the student's perspective?
Actually, I'm looking at student perspective also. Like what I'm doing is I'm conducting post-test, then I'm interviewing few students, not all the students, few student I'm taking, and I'm interviewing them and asking their experience of attending this session, or they are practicing this session. That is also I'm collecting the data, and at present I have done with the two schools, like 11th 12th standard student I have collected. My challenges because of the pandemic, lockdown, and colleges were converted. That's why that was a challenge, but I'm reduced my sample size and I'm working on it.
Fair enough. And I feel it probably might help if you can even interview the management. It could be the principal or the management, because if you are using augmented reality, there are a lot of financial implications as well. Right. So it is also about the decisions. It's about the policy decisions that are taken at the managerial level. Even if as a teacher, I might be willing to use AR, but then what if I do not have the required support? Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree with that, ma'am. But I am focusing on open sources and free content. So without paying the money, using the technology, that is where I am looking at. But that is a good point, like, because even management perspective is also very important, because we were in the situation where mobile phone or technology, right, not much utilized in education, especially in science education. For media studies teachers, we are used to it, but not like science and other discipline. Good suggestion.
Yeah, and also Neville, why management, even if they're not investing, at least investing in resources to train teachers. See, you know, there are so many free softwares available, but then how many of them know that it is available and how many of them make the most of it? We have seen that online also, right? From the teaching community, we have experienced that. So there is a digital divide among the teachers also. So probably, yeah, anyway, that I'm sure you will be looking at it when you're working on your thesis. I think as last paper, nice, we concluded with a good paper. Thank you, Neville.
Thank you. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am.
Come to an end of the session. Lakshmi, I understand. Yeah, just a brief concluding remarks before I give it to Lakshmi. We conclude the session on the platform for social change. We had almost 11 presenters presenting different dimensions of social change. We had papers related to educational intervention among adolescents, sustainable development, gender equality, a lot of perspectives, health communication. All these are extremely important area, because media is not just about entertainment. The very important, one of the fundamental roles of media is development, is social change. Catalyst is being catalyst of social change. And all the papers that were presented today have kind of given different perspectives related to how media can play a role, an important, significant role towards, achieving this kind of a social change. I'm sure, some of the it was a very good learning experience for all of us, right? The learning is, we can never say we know it all. It was learning experience for all of us who were present here, from each of the presenters. It was different perspective, and it is more of exchanging of thoughts. It was not, I wouldn't call my inputs as suggestions. I would say it was speaking loud of my thoughts. It was exchange of ideas. And I'm sure we can come up with better papers and better, perspectives in the future, to broaden our understanding. With that, I think we'll call it a day for this session, for the first half of the session. Over to you, Lakshmi. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. This session ends here. Thank you all for joining the second session of the day 3 of the Impetus 2021 3-day online international conference on social media and developing societies, emerging trends, platforms, impact, and digital citizenship, organized by Department of Media Studies and IQAC, Nagar College, Kerala, India. Next session will begin at 2:15, and the link to join the next session will be shared in the group. Thank you all. This is Lakshmi MD signing off.
Thank you. Thank you so much.